Well, good evening, everybody. I'm waiting for YouTube to, here goes YouTube. It's kicking in. Want to make sure the volume on YouTube is low so it doesn't feed back through the speakers and into my microphone. So what up, what up? We got a couple of people in here already. We got to go to the top and start with Candy Kitten, Mason Fairchild, Twizzle Stick. It's the stick of Twiz. Alicia, we got Alicia in here. What's up, what's up, what's up? I think we're all pleasantly surprised today, aren't? Can't we all agree with that? What's up, Beach Babe? Very pleasantly surprised that Judge Hippler, the old Judge Hippler with that shiny ass head of his, yeah, he made a point to allow an appointment of a state public defender to work with Brian Koberger on his new filing. What up there? What up there, everybody? And I think that's kind of a shock. In all fairness, I don't think many of us thought he would have any part of Brian trying to. And just so people realize, he's appealing the plea bargain. He's appealing his plea of guilty. This isn't the case itself. So this is not going to be a trial of Idaho versus Koberger. And I invited Kathy to come over tonight. Kathy from the Indie Zone. There's a link to StreamYard. Anybody wants to reminder we got going here at 9:00, it'd be awesome. But she helps clear things up. I have a few questions for her. Get a little more information about her. My $7.99 microphone is kicking ass and taking names. What up, Steve G? What up, Steve G? Oh man, where's Stevie? Stevie boy. Now what you gonna do, boy? You think you're gonna get another crack at Koberger and put him to death, you freak? Unbelievable. Steve Gonclaves or Gonzalez or gone and just blew his fucking mind. He's out there. Is he propagandizing the public again? Is he too stupid to know this is just an argument about the plea deal? This fucking guy. I'm telling you, he's a narcissist. He's also he's a domineering narcissist that, in my opinion, and I have no evidence to support this, is either verbally, mentally, or physically abusive to women. That's my take on a guy like Steve. Just his animus and how he comes across. You could see some of the looks he gives his wife when she talks. Yeah. He's got her marching to his fucking tune. That's why he doesn't want her to see any contradictive evidence that Koberger did it. Right, Steve? You don't want your wife to start questioning you. You're the big man. You're the alpha male. You fucking ball sniffing fucking queer. Anyway, so what's up, folks? I was hoping maybe the Indie Zone would swing in here because I'd like to do a small little interview with her. Yeah, Ray. Of course he's not done. He's got shit he wants to say. We know who butters the bread in that family. Yeah, I'm telling you. Oh, cool. Yeah, so when she comes in, I'm going to post this link. I don't know how to post a link that stays because I am not one of these like high-class quality streamers that, spend any time in a classroom in order to learn this crap. But let's see. I better hang out backstage just in case. How do you pin a comment, right? That's the question. Share your referral link. I don't know. What does that mean? I have no idea. Oh, they want me to share their shit. Go to YouTube and pin it. All right, we're over at YouTube. How can I pin a comment? All right, pop up in. Hang on. Maybe I can pin it. Hang on. I just got to click on those three little buttons or something, right? Pin message. It's pinned. We pinned it. Yep. Someone starts striking the fucking canvas. You're out. We pinned it. There you go. Look at that. Even old Sarge could be learning something. You learned me something. Who's holding hands with Spray and Jesse Weber? I don't know who those people are. Peggy Sue? No clue. I am clueless. He's holding hands with Spray. Who is? I don't even know. I have no idea. All I know is I'm relieved. Okay. I'm relieved that Koberger filed this appeal. Post-conviction relief. I'm surprised that Judge Hippler is rolling with it, going with it, up as far as we can tell, right? But all that may be just until he gets him in the courtroom and slaps him down. I mean, that could happen too, right? Yeah. Yep. Steve G and Cy Ray. Listen, I don't know. Steve G and Cy Ray. Steve G is just the most, in my opinion, I don't know what his deal is. He's very gullible. But he did have the nerve to come out and admit he lied when he had come out and told the public that there was software people don't even know about. And they'll show that his phone connected to their router or something like that. You guys remember when he did that? Yeah. Steve said a lot of things. So is Cy Ray. So I'm not surprised both of those guys are hanging out together. They don't mind telling lies and making statements to give themselves specific attention. I think it's kind of gross. Yeah, he said his phone touched the Wi-Fi. He lied. Years later, he came forward and said, he came forward and said, some things he said were a lie just to keep the focus on the case. Well, I don't even know how you can make that make sense. They are very similar. They're cut from the same cloth. Cut from the same cloth. Who didn't lie? Poor Kaylee. Makes me sad. He thought he was intentionally lying, but he was unintentionally told the truth. I don't know what that means, Swizzle Stick. I don't know. How are you saying that Brian? You say some things that confuse the shit out of me. Now you're saying that Brian's phone connected to the Wi-Fi and the 1122 crime scene? Come on, Twiz. What the hell are you talking about? How did Brian's phone connect to their Wi-Fi? Said he was at the house before he touched. What's up there, the Richards Art? Cy said Brian Kohlberger was at the house before he touched the Wi-Fi. Nah, I don't believe Cy Ray at all. I don't believe him at all. I think he's talking shit. I don't buy that at all. I mean, if that's the case, then here's what I would do. Just be aware that I would have gotten the information on all the other Wi-Fi units around the property. If you could support Brian Kohlberger's phone touch that Wi-Fi, then how could they ever argue there was no connection between him, the victims, electronically or otherwise? You can't. That's just nonsense, Twiz. I'd like to see where he said that. And why is it you didn't go look at the other Wi-Fi? Ask permission from the neighbors. Neighbors wouldn't have an objection. You looking to see who connected to their Wi-Fi, right? I mean, then you could have established his presence in the neighborhood itself. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think that's true at all, Twiz. I'm sorry. I just don't. If that were true, they'd have been all over the place with that. All over the place with that. The most they ever could claim was that he touched their tower, which doesn't mean a damn thing. But now this argument that he touched their router, please. Somebody need to give me a drink. Maybe I need to go back. It's been 30 years. Maybe I need to go back and smoke some coke. I understand that, Twiz, but they would have to put you in pretty close proximity to that property. Richard hears me talking about touching it. I'm not talking about touching any kind of sexual organ there, you freak. It's called logic. Not if his phone is off, Twiz. A phone that's been turned off doesn't touch the people's routers. Yeah. Cy Ray is full of shit. Cy Ray is full of shit. I don't know what he's trying to get back. Why do I have to explain this to everyone? Because it's something that no one's ever heard before. I never heard anybody claim that, other than Steve Gonzalez said this 3 years ago, that his phone touched the router. And they had special software to track it or some shit. Then he came out and admitted that was a lie. He was confronted by that. Okay? That Steve G was confronted by that. And he said, yeah, well, some things like that I knew it was a lie when I said it, but I just wanted to keep focus on this case. Yeah, I don't know, Twiz. I don't know how I can trust that information. I'm tired of these guys making statements with no documentation to support it. It's just not, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why would a GPS touch their router? Why would a GPS need to touch routers? My GPS in my truck doesn't tell me I've got other networks there that I'm connecting to. Connects to my phone. My GPS doesn't connect to my Wi-Fi at my house. No. This is why I'm saying people don't understand the tech. Well, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying, Twid. I just don't know. You can't come out and make a statement that Brian Koberger had no connection to the victims electronically or otherwise, and no connection to the house. And then people run around saying that they saw, like Cy come running around and saying he touched the fucking router. Jesus. I mean, that's an incredible statement to make after the prosecution stood in front of the fucking Globe and said what he said, right? That's a hell of a thing to say. I mean, that would support the fucking stalking claim. That would support, even if it only happened once. Well, their Wi-Fi, that's a router. Your Wi-Fi originates from a router, okay? I mean, my Wi-Fi is right over here, right next to me. I know if I turn on my computer and I go to set up Wi-Fi, it'll ask me about my neighbors. Yikes. I don't trust anything Ray is saying. I don't know why a router and a cell phone that's working with GPS, which is satellite driven, why anybody's home router would have anything to do with your GPS connection. Right? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know the tech per se, and I believe that anyone can make a statement on TV, which is not a court. I same bullshit as prosecution or anyone saying anything on TV. Yeah, I look, I think Cy Ray had some value in some of the things he said, but I think Cy Ray also had a predetermined conclusion. And like so many cops, they get a conclusion in their head, even if it's the right conclusion. Don't get me wrong. It's not as if they're wrong all the time. So they get a conclusion in their head. They focus on that to the exclusion of all else. I've made that statement to the exclusion of all else at least 200 times in the periods that I've been out here on this stupid fucking streaming stuff. That's one of the big failings of the police and prosecutors, to the exclusion of all else. Right? And I think that is a terrible thing to suffer from. His GPS location is at the house, and he didn't kill them. No one said it made him guilty. Well, I'm not arguing about the guy's guilt or innocence. I guess I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. This argument that's going to be made in court is going to challenge the attorney that represented him. It's going to challenge the information that he was either privy to or not privy to. And it's going to point out or try to point out the fact that he was coerced, tricked, lied to, whatever you want to call it, to plead guilty. And that it would to be considered listen, I almost wonder if he thought that was an Alford plea. In all fairness, I don't know. But I can see him making it. I agree with your logic, though. I have a theory that's, let's see, including the jury pool. That's what they do. That's what they're doing. They're doing the same thing they did in the beginning. But here's the best part. This isn't about whether Brian Koberger did it or not. These proceedings got everything to do with the guilty plea. Okay. They got to do with the guilty plea and how he came to make that decision. And was he coerced or trapped? If you're told by an attorney, and I was told by attorneys that I never hired, you're not going to win a court case. Take a plea deal. And that's coercion. I don't care what anybody says. That is coercion. There's no way you're going to win. You're going to win this in court. Take a plea deal. Well, there's no way for that person to know that. I don't care how many fucking diplomas you got on your wall. I don't care how fucking big your car is and your house is and how many millions or billions of dollars you got in the bank. You can't be a fucking a soothsayer, right? Yeah, if they had that information, they can't reintroduce that. They can't now go to trial and then provide a whole different case, right? If BK was told they would expedite his execution, if Ann is standing in court a week before you plea, saying she don't have enough time to go over this stuff, right? I'm telling you, I guarantee you, Ann doesn't think anything she did was coercion. But again, it goes back into the systemic corruption within the system. She probably did the same thing she's done with everybody that she got to agree to a plea deal, not realizing what she's saying is coercion. I mean, people do that all the time, and it doesn't need to be legally done. Well, he was there to counter the state claims, not give his summary of it. Cy is saving his head. Nah, fuck Cy Ray. I don't bring him up, leave him out of this conversation. I don't even want to talk about Cy Ray, nor do I want to talk about Turvey or Whitcomb, right? I think Turvey and Whitcomb, and I even think Cy Ray, they all gave us crucial information. They gave us facts that we didn't know. And I think that there's a lot more facts we didn't know. But if you're going to sit back and tell me that you know stuff that we don't know and we'll never know it, then I don't want to hear your opinion on that. You shouldn't even be saying that. If you got any kind of a fucking brain, you just keep your mouth shut. Okay? If they know things that we're never going to know, then the public isn't going to know. It's not going to be known in a jury's mind. Then you shouldn't be saying it. I mean, to even allude to shit like that is what people do. They're shit talkers. It's like telling you I got a fucking 12-inch dick. Unless you come look at it, that's bullshit. Right? People know that. And so in this particular, with these particular people that came forward telling us that there's things that they've seen that you haven't seen yet or may never see, and it's those things, well, then why weren't those the things that were used to charge Brian Kohlberg? Why weren't those things discovered to the defense? This is what I mean when it comes to law enforcement and the judicial system. It's quite fucking irritating, man. I mean, like, shut the fuck up with that. I don't want to hear it. I've been to a lot of court cases. I've been involved in a RICO case. I've been involved with a lot of court cases. And this idea that there's shit that you don't know is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. We're back to touching it there, Richard. I use it to rest my fucking chin on at times while I'm pondering. Remember that guy, that carving of that guy that had his hand under his chin and he was thinking? What was the name of that carving? Yeah, I do the same thing, but I don't use my hand. You guys, who's the thinker? Isn't that the carving of the thinker? What the fuck? Oh, man. I got to prop myself up at just, sometimes when I'm waiting in line, I'll do that. I just lean into it. They call me Tripod, the Spectacular. Holy fuck. Yeah, I think some of the stuff that they say is worth paying attention to, and other stuff is not. And yeah, he did say that. I think and listen, Cy Ray, when Cy Ray was, the hair was brought up to Cy Ray, he read exactly, he said to us what was put in print by the state. The debris, a single hair within the debris or something like that. He didn't see the pictures as Turvey did. So they each know some things that they know. I don't know. I don't know what Cy Ray saw, but I'm going to tell you right now. Let me I want this to be very clear. There is no court case of this nature to which the state gets rid of evidence that would incarcerate you. It don't work like that, folks. And let me just say something else, too. This is the other problem that Cy Ray and others like him are creating for the state of Idaho. If you're claiming the state of Idaho has evidence that was obtained in a way that it doesn't make it admissible in court, then you're actually, and if there is, let's just say this. I mean, he's making it easier for Kohberger in a sense when you think it through. How can you, let's just say they got images of Brian walking in the house. Why weren't they produced in discovery? How were these obtained? Is that why you didn't bring them for discovery? This is why anything that Cy Ray and others are suggesting, there's stuff that you guys, that they didn't use, that it would have been easier if they used it and didn't do what they did. All of that rambling by Cy Ray may sound good, but there's some potential problems here, right? Some potential problems. So I don't really accept what Cy Ray when he tells me he did it, and you just haven't seen the things I've seen. Well, hey, he's just saying all this. That's what I mean. It's just irritating. It really is. Now, somebody said, let me go into YouTube here. I'm going to look here. I'm going to look. I think it's important, and I think it's kind of good that Hippler at least did a good faith, action today. Cy protecting his career. I don't know what he's doing. I don't care what he's doing. Cy Ray flat out said a lot of the evidence should get thrown. I know, that's what I mean. Cy Ray has said some things that are literally pro Burger, whether he wants them to be or not. Now, they're watching. Oh, she is on there. Yeah, Kathy's saying what I'm saying, basically, when it comes to Cy Ray. He does have a right to an attorney, but he could deny the appeal as it stands, I think. He's got the intent to appeal, so he's going to have to give him an attorney. I think you're right on that, so that then they can come forward. Cy also claimed he was only given the material within his area of expertise, but then comes out speaking on behalf of the entire case. Right. No, I agree. What did Toaster Bath say? Who's Toaster Bath? Why is that a name I've heard before? But can't deny an attorney, exactly. Right. No, and I think it's going to be highly interesting to see the arguments that are made on behalf of Brian Kohberger. Yeah, I really don't know. What did Toaster Bath say? I got to back up a little bit. Another expert doc also came out and said that he made Anna aware of the hair and they did nothing in more words or less. Right. That's what I'm piecing together. Okay. Yeah. I think the hair, she was aware of the hair, but maybe not to the extent of what he disclosed to her. But I think the one thing that he made a point on that is getting lost over the hair is the chain of custody of that knife sheath. That's the entire case. Yeah, thank you, Raw. That's what I was thinking too, Raw, but I didn't want to really get deep into it. Anyway, Raw is right. He is not entitled to an attorney in post-conviction relief. Referred to Cy affidavits, all there now. He just kept trying to keep his career going. Who knows? Who knows his motive? I won't even put in his. I have no idea why he's doing what he's doing. But him thinking Brian Kohberger did it or not isn't relevant. Even on the stand, you call him as a hostile witness. But again, we're nowhere near that phase. If we it's going to be a while to get to that phase. But in the example to which he's brought up on a stand, you treat him as a hostile witness. So you thought Mr. Kohberger was guilty. I did. You currently think that? I do. Did you think that before we engaged you? I did. then then the information that you put together, does that show Mr. Kohlberger present in that home? It does not. Does any of the cast data or any of the phone data show Mr. Kohlberger between the hours of 4 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. at that residence? It does not. And that's the end of it. Get off the fucking stand, jerk off. We're done with you. I mean, he couldn't hurt Brian, no matter what his opinion is. Okay? His opinion makes the point even stronger. Just be aware. If it ever gets to that point where he's ever going to be brought up on a stand, and I wouldn't bring him up as an expert, I'd bring him up as a hostile witness. And I'd use what he said on TV against him. And then I'd bring what he put his signed sworn signatures to in the process of hearings in the previous situation. I'd run that guy over with a bus. Then I'd get off the bus. Listen, I'd get off the bus and drag his ass to the front of the bus and run him over again. And then I would stop the bus. I wouldn't back over him. No, that's too easy. I'd get off the bus again and drag his dumb ass to the front of the bus and run him over again. That's what I would do with someone like that. Correct. The post-conviction relief may set up the actual process to get to a trial, right? I think Mr. Kohlberger has a serious thing, and I think these people that are coming forward, especially Cy Ray would actually be kind of a cool witness to have to deal with, right? I hope there's 100 lawyers that want to bite in this pie. Shit. I'd help put some money up if need be. Who wants to join me in that? Kohlberger family, you can contact me through this channel. And yeah, I'm not afraid to spend some money. Let's do it. Let's see what these police did with their PCA, with all the lies, the exculpatory document that places Brian Kohlberger everywhere but at the scene of the crime. Let's see how it got to become what it became. How did Bill Thompson misrepresent this information to a grand jury? How? How did that happen? The state will render him a state appellate attorney. Yeah, we got to wait, though. This is post-conviction relief he's going after. To reverse his plea deal. To retract it. Yeah, I'm sure he wants to protect our constitutional rights. I don't think these guys even understand that that's not the right of mine you're protecting. That's a guardrail you should never fucking cross. It's not me you should be fucking worrying about, me or my rights. Okay? Your problem is with the people that keep crossing that fucking guardrail. That's a limit for government behavior, right? And that's so why aren't they coming out and saying that? That's a limit placed on him and his profession, not you or me. You're not giving me permission for fucking the free religion. Ain't no one gave me that permission, right? Steve lies all the time. Yeah, I think he is telling the state they fucked up and lied, but I think he's actually made himself the best hostile witness in the history of hostile witnesses. As a paid fucking, he should have kept his mouth shut on what he thinks. He should have kept his mouth shut and should never have come out public and say, I've seen things that you guys haven't seen and you may never seen, and he's guilty. That shouldn't be allowed. What's he going to do now? He's going to have to get up on the stand and fucking claim the Fifth Amendment. Cy Ray is going to be a witness for this case if it moves to a trial. If it moves to a trial, Cy Ray's certainly going to be a witness. You watch, he'll be a hostile witness, and the Brian Kohlberger defense team is going to flatten him. He should know. I mean, what kind of I don't even know what kind of a professional he is, man. He should just keep his mouth shut. All right? I don't even know. It's very frustrating what these people have done. And it's even more frustrating. Let me just say where the frustration comes from. Let's be clear. And let's give Cy Ray, let's give Cy Ray a pass. Let's give him a pass, right? The problem originates with the state of Idaho. And that crack a fucking claws looking piece of shit, Bill Thompson. That's where this problem is. That's where it's all started. With them with sealing stuff and concealing stuff and working secretly behind the scenes with the FBI and then being too stupid to keep it a secret because they're just ignorant. They're so full of themselves. They feel like they're omnipotent, like nothing can touch them. Just like you see all these judges around the country trying to counter Donald Trump's enforcement of immigration laws and getting slapped down as it goes up the fucking chain and slapped down. These local judges, these small regional judges should just need to stay in their lane. The prosecution is why we have all of this problem. Let's be clear. They made claims. They laid out a conspiracy theory where they tried to daisy chain images of a white car into the ownership of a specific individual because 2 hours before the crime, they picked his phone up somewhere. I mean, what the fuck is that? He's no dirty deal. He's a piece of shit, that guy. And then you're going to write a probable cause affidavit that implies this person's been stalking. And then when the defense wants to poll the community to think if that's part of their view of this case, and then you get all pissed off and scream, they know there's no stalking. There's never been any stalking. Well, then why did you write your PCA that way, you filthy fuck? Why did you let the TV stations run with that? Brian Kohlberger was in that area, in that neighborhood 12 times. Man. This is enough of these kind of court cases, whether they be for politics or for crimes. It's enough. It needs to stop. This kid needs to be the murderer, and he needs to be let go because of the insufficient fucking work of the state of Idaho. No, I didn't see it. What did they say? Can you post it, or can you? Let me go in the. I'm never in StreamYard to see if somebody. Can you? I mean, you could jump in here and then post it. Jump out if you're afraid to stay in here. Whether he did it or not, Idaho dropped the ball. Exactly. Not only dropped the ball. No, these stupid fucks were trying to play soccer with a bowling ball. Literally, that's what they were doing. They set up fucking goals for a soccer game, and they rolled a fucking 18-pound fucking bowling ball into the fucking field. It's just retarded what they did. The fuck plays soccer with a bowling ball? Well, Bill Thompson does. That's who. Brett Payne does. All of those jerk-offs connected to the Idaho4. Fuck, you're better. Look at you. You could beat this case if you hired a fucking lawyer from Temu. Go on Temu, Brian, and get you a lawyer, okay? Get you some. Go right on Temu. Get one for like $19.95. You probably could get a lawyer. You probably get a lawyer for $8.50, and he would be more effective than what you had with Ann Taylor. How about when the FBI approached one of the defense's expert witnesses privately at their home, and we don't know, we can't know what happened there? You can't talk about it? How is that okay? Literally, how is that fucking okay? I mean, there's just so much bullshit with this case. And there's so much. Oh, man. Did that fat bastard retire? No, I think he tried retirement, and they got him at fucking Yellowstone Park, I think. Hang on here. I'm looking for something to see if it works. Yeah. Why would I click on anything that says CNN? You got to be kidding me. Here. Let's see. I'm going to try to link this. Here he is. Here's Bill Thompson. Forget the story. I'm not even going to put the volume on. Look at. Here's Dirty Bill right there. See Dirty Bill over there? Behind a tree? Behind the pickup? Dirty Bill. Uh-oh, dirty Bill. Good old, look at, there goes Bill Thompson on vacation. He acts and runs. Oh, poor Bill. Bill, say it isn't so, Bill. Say it isn't so. Should we get a repeat of that? Let's rewind. Oh, Bill, you bastard, Bill. Quit fucking with bison. They're not as easy to take down as a Koberger, you prick. Fucking Bill. If only. Dang it. That fucking Bill. You launched him. That's what you get. Be playing with. Unbelievable. Get him there. Get him, Bison. Unreal. Nobody came to help Bill. The guy in the pickup truck could have tried to block it or something, but no. And they all know he's a no good. Oh, man. Good old Bill Thompson took flight. Thought he was going to go on a vacay. And he got gnawed by a foot. Right up his butthole. Went right up his dookie. Oh, man. Right in the dookie. Poor Billy. What up, Billy? Yeah, that probable cause affidavit. We know where he was for between 3 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. And exactly where was that? He was somewhere with his phone off. Exactly where? Well, yeah, he was at that house killing those kids. And you know that because, well, we got blurry images of a vehicle that kind of looks like his, but we're not sure. Yike. Post-conviction relief is hard to get. So let's see what Brian comes with. I agree with you, Twist, but it's not impossible. And let's see what he's going to say about his attorney, Ann Taylor, right? The bison's name was Brian. There you go. Yes. Somebody make a meme of that and tattoo Brian Koberger on the bison's ass. And then Bill Taylor running up down the length of the guy running, or Bill Thompson. I'm sorry. That would be an awesome meme. I played it on my channel repetitively, nonstop. It would be the background for the entire show. Get him. Buffalo Koberger. Instead of Buffalo Bill, we'll call it Buffalo Brian. And here comes Buffalo Brian. And look, oh, there's the prosecutor. The one that lied in the probable cause affidavit, the one that suppressed evidence, the one that took 3 years to provide discovery and waited until days just before trial to do a big document dump. A man that claimed to have 68 terabytes of data, and he handed it out like the skimpy old curmudgeon on your street that gives candy out. One tiny Tootsie Roll at a time per child. That's how Bill Thompson handed out discovery. That needs to be resolved. No, we're going to call him Buffalo Brian. Yeah, that's Bill Thompson. He gives out one fucking mini Tootsie Roll to every kid that comes to his house. And then wonders the next day why his house is covered in egg and toilet paper. Why there's bags of shit burning on his front porch. He did for a lot of things by filing. What did at Ross say? I don't know what he said, Ross. Privileged. What the fuck did they need to buy a knife, sheath, and I want to know what that fucking knife is that they took out of the house in Pittsburgh. I want to know. In Pennsylvania. Fillet knife, folding knife, and knife. What kind of a knife? A knife. What's a knife? It's a knife. Knife. So you took a knife out of... Did you get a gun out of it? Yes, we did research. What kind of it? It was a 9mm. Oh. So does every gun have an identifying name? Yes, it does. Is anybody aware of a knife that does not have an identifying attachment to its a tool? It's called a knife. All knives are knives, right? I mean, a knife is a knife because all knives are knives. That's pretty. I mean, can you imagine the Abbott and Costello fucking sketch you could have on the stand with somebody? I'm glad he revoked the attorney privilege. No, they wouldn't have wrote it in capital letters, Liv. Absolutely, they would not write that in capital letters. I bet you dimes to the donut they would not write that in capital letters. That's why they called it a knife. because they wanted to be sure that it was involved in the crime. If they found the K-bar, you could bet your last dollar they tore that thing down to its last fucking microscopic element of metal to look for DNA and didn't find any. That's why they wouldn't have put K-bar knife in their discovery, because that K-bar knife, if it couldn't be connected to the crime scene, would exonerate Brian Kohlberger, right? If it was a K-bar knife, they absolutely wouldn't have listed that on the evidence removal sheet. That's consistent with what they did everywhere else. They tell you just enough not to tell you the truth. I mean, there was male DNA on the knife sheath in the form of blood, but nobody was told that, right? It's just a knife. What is it? What kind of a, Mr. Town? It's a knife. A knife. Oh, that's awesome, bro. Where do I go buy a fucking knife? Right? Of course they would have led with that. If they had evidence that would actually positively place him in that house, they wouldn't have looked for microscopic DNA and ignored all that blood. How is it the microscopic DNA? This is another question, folks. And this is a very perplexing question. How is it that you can swab a home and obtain multiple fucking blood evidence DNA and not process that to the nth degree? And then you take a Q-tip that you swabbed the part of the sheath with that you, listen, even under a microscope, a standard microscope, you couldn't see those skin cells. So somebody needs to make sense of that. How is it you were so fucking confident that that button strap was going to have DNA on it and you chased that down? I know it's not an appeal, it's post-conviction relief, but we're still ranting on there, Ms. Bugs. But somebody make that make sense when you have all that blood DNA samples. What in the fuck were they doing with a clean, empty fucking, no way you could know there was anything on that Q-tip when they swabbed that fucking button strap, but they focused all their attention on that? Can somebody explain the sense in doing it that way? You're not going to run IgG on every single fucking sample, but you're going to take a Q-tip. You're going to take a Q-tip that has no identifying fucking substance on it at all? Hey, we could place you at 1122. There you go. Just lock me up. But in all seriousness, imagine that. Who made that decision? So I'm the lab technician and I swabbed the knife sheath. And I have 4 different fucking swabs. Right? One of them has nothing on it. 3 of them have blood. And you're going to concentrate on the one that has nothing on it? My hand would fall off from all the people I'd have been giving slaps to. You got to be kidding me. How can a fucking, even a drop of blood not be more important than a scarce, barely even fucking findable transfer DNA dead skin cell on a fucking strap? You can't make this make sense. So you're telling me that this drop of blood that I could see with the naked eye isn't enough to produce a genealogically fucking, but you could do that with microscopic skin cells? Somebody needs to try to make sense of that, because you just can't. There ain't no fucking way that a tiny drop of blood doesn't have more ability to be tested or to at least extract the data you need to do IgG than dead skin cells. A microscopic fucking batch of stuff. The blood you could see with the naked eye. It's well beyond microscopic in ways that if you could imagine, if you could picture it in your head, you'd see the difference between microscopic and a drop of blood. It's the chicken or the egg. They can't present facts, so they reverse engineer. There you go, Richard. There you go. I have to agree with that 100%. I'm just flabbergasted. That's a word you don't get to use much. But I'm flabbergasted at the way they treated the evidence that they collected. I know the knife sheath's important, folks. Don't get me wrong. If you find a knife sheath in a crime scene right with the victims, that's the strongest thing that you have. I completely understand that. But there was other male DNA on there in the form of blood. How could even microscopic blood not be more powerful than dead skin cells? I don't understand it. Well, yeah, that is a cool word. I'm flabbergasted. What the hell? Oh my God. Nobody else turned their phone on near the crime scene while the DNA was at the crime scene either. I don't know what you're saying or who you're talking with, but that can't make any sense there, Twiz. Nobody else turned on their phone at the crime scene. The neighbors didn't turn it on. The kids that walked up to the house, the kids walking by, the cars driving by. I mean, if their Wi-Fi is that potent that it connects to every fucking moving car, then this crime should have been solvable, and that should have been the main evidence, right? I don't think they picked Brian as the defendant, but I think around November 19th of 2022, since Kathy didn't show up, now I have to talk like Kathy. It's very difficult. November 19th, 2022. It's not one piece of evidence. It's both or all. I don't know what you're saying. It's quite a Saturday night. Everyone was asleep for church in the morning. Yeah, they all had appointments with their pastor. Right? Dylan basically had a fucking sign language conversation with the perpetrator based on her story, right? That's another good question. This is what I want to know. And I want people to give me a 1 for yes or a 2 for no. Okay? A 1 for a yes or 2 for no. If you're only able to communicate through sign language and you lose a finger, do you now have a stutter? 1 for yes, 2 for no. What do you say, Twiz? Does a missing finger make a sign language communicator stutter? Well, I don't know. One of the fingers you use. I mean, inquiry minds not want to know. These are important pieces of information. She lost her typing finger. A pinky wouldn't affect it much. Well, how about your index finger or your thumb? You'd be signing in shorthand. That's what. Did you guys ever see that where some politician came out to address the crowd and they hired some friend or someone as an interpreter to sign language? And their sign language wasn't even sign language. They were just moving their hands and making these motions that looked like sign language, but weren't actually sign language whatsoever, as this person gave a speech. What the fuck? Yes, I do sign language. That's my, I communicate through that. I can take what you say and turn it into sign language as you say it. Can you imagine? My middle finger is the only important one. Well, yeah, where's this Kathy from the Indie Zone? Twiz said she'd be in here. Psst, psst, psst. No Indie Zone. She said she'd be in here too when I talked in her room. I don't know. This whole case is just bananas, man. Yeah, she said she would be. I know she did. I'll be patient. You know, if anything, Sarge can be patient because I got the whole world in my hands. Got the whole world. I'm not going to sing because I do not have a singer's voice. What the hell? I don't even know. It's crazy. Can't shake branch with it. So I don't know. It seems like for people not to have gone out the front door, there was an awful lot of blood collected on the stairway going down to the first floor, right? I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted. And I don't ever want to go deaf and have to communicate with sign language, because that would probably be my first indicator I'm going to lose fingers. And then I'm not going to be able to talk to anybody. Although, yeah, I don't know, going deaf would affect my ability to use my voice, but you never know. Kane rage quit before he ever got here. Why would Kane rage quit? I like Kane. He's got some crazy conspiracies, but I like Kane. Kathy said she'd be here, and I had the impression she was rushing to do something after her stream. Hopefully she's over on Lee's stream. What's that? Devil's Advocate, if I'm not mistaken. Someone had mentioned that, which is fine. He probably invited her before I did, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he invited her after I did, and she went with the popularity of the show, which would be fine. I wouldn't mind. I won't let her forget it, though. Sarge, if you had to lose one, which would be hearing or sight? Oh, man. I'd lose one eye and one ear, and I'd call it a day. How about that? Right? I'd give up one ear and one eye. Right eye, left ear. Yeah, I would want to still be able to see. Not seeing's got to be a fucking brutal thing. Yeah. That way I would be complying without complying, because I don't like to comply. Although I do comply quite a bit in life. I am down, for those of you that are interested, I'm down to my last New York strip steak, and the only thing left in my freezer is an apple pie, which maybe tonight I'll bake that apple pie, but I don't have ice cream, so I really don't want to have pie without ice cream. Maybe I should get some Cool Whip. I haven't had that in years. That's probably what I'm going to do with this pie. Right? What the hell? Yeah. I dated a deaf girl for a little while. It wasn't an easy thing to do. She had this, she had these, before there was ever texting, and this, I mean, you might want to contribute. You might want to say that the deaf are the ones that created this texting thing. Texting's always annoyed me. But she had these, they didn't look like modern cell phones. They looked like miniature. There was a digital screen, and there were keys that you could type on. So it kind of resembled today's phone, but it was physical keys, and it would only do script. And she would talk to you with that, right? Well, I'd have been happy if she'd have told, but the problem was I'm such a bad speller, and I was so slow that if she could ask me a question, by the time I got it typed out, the question was probably irrelevant. Like you should have went left there. By the time I figured out how to reply to that, there was no turn to the left anywhere left. It was gone. Yeah, that was a difficult relationship at best. Nice girl, but like I said the other night, I didn't take text or typing in school, and I always thought if what's he saying? Yeah, she'd show me her screen with a look on her face like, what's that? I'm like, I don't know. Can't you read my lips? Brian Koberger's chilling murder plane exposed. New state filing. That's it. You got a link to it? I kind of doubt there's anything in this video. Is diabolic? What is it? Is chilling murder plan exposed? I've had conversations about losing my hands. I would exposed or expose. Yeah, these people I mean, that's what happens to a lot of streamers on our side of the aisle. They come up with all these solutions to the crime. Who did it? Why they did it? I want to understand the evidence they gave us, and it's almost impossible to understand unless you go to extreme. When you go to extremes, you got to try to understand what Dylan meant by a round cylindrical thing on his back or carrying it. I mean, what the fuck is that? I don't know. Who would bring fucking equipment like that into a home. He had a kill kit, but there's no mention of him leaving with a bag. I don't know any cylindrical things or whatever. I mean, when you listen to what Dylan said, and you listen to all these other things, you There's no answer. I heard a bang and I saw fireworks under my door. How the fuck do you, how do you understand that? How? How is that understandable? You know, and everybody tries to guess. Well, it was a bang. She saw a flash of light. She saw a firecracker go off. Well, that ain't fireworks, man. Fireworks are a continuous fucking burst of sparks. Unbelievable. And then you get into trying to understand her story about this person. This guy walked by her. I mean, I don't know. How long did we hear from the guilters that the lights were off? How many times did that goofball Jeff come into the streams and tell you the only light that was on was this one over here? And that would have blinded the guy when he walked down the hallway and looked, and that's why he didn't see Dylan. Shut the fuck up. Little decorative fucking Christmas tree type lights blinded the guy and he couldn't see Dylan. But according to Dylan, they looked each other in the eye. Holy fuck. What is the deal with these kind of rational fucking thoughts? I don't know. It's insane. It's literally insane. And so is the same thing like when you listen to Pav and some others out there describing to you who did it and this and that. And I got proof. And she parted his bushy eyebrows for him. Maybe she combed them, right? She's probably combing them and saying, honey, were you able to kill those that you needed to kill? Because Bethany's downstairs if you want one more. Step over here. She said it was a gun the perp was carrying. I've never seen that stated anywhere. Twiz, I've always respected you and still read your comments. What changed your mind? Sorry if I'm behind. Was it Si? Think about it. Mainstream media kept talking about Brian acting like he is the smartest person in the room. I don't know. If I were a judge, I wouldn't have accepted a few statements. That I wouldn't have, that should never have been on a warrant because there's no factual basis to support the statement in connection to the accusation. There is fact to support that criminals are known to turn their phone off to mask their location prior to committing a crime. That is true. But in this particular application for a warrant, you would have to establish a criminal background of the suspect in order for that term to be applied to that warrant, right? And they didn't do that. I think a lot of people don't understand the justice system. Everything that you make a claim about has to be supported either through direct evidence, okay, or what we would call third-party evidence or hearsay evidence, which is third party. A witness is considered third party, believe it or not. Okay, so where is that in the application for a warrant to arrest the guy? The alibi was forced by the court too. Let's be completely clear. And if he didn't have some kind of an alibi, then that also would have squashed. That would have squashed a significant part of the defensive work. I don't know why they mandate. I guess I do know why they mandate it. Because you don't want to drop that and put the state through 3 years or 2 years of their games because they play fucking games and spend millions only to come out and say, oh, yeah, I was with my mother eating popcorn on the couch watching this particular show. I can understand you not wanting the defendant to drop that shit, way down the line, but 2 inverters. Why are 2 inverters even important? He probably wanted one for his car, maybe to run it for some reason. Who knows? I always explain in court. It wouldn't matter what he said for an alibi. He lived alone, no matter what. I agree with you. He had no witnesses to support it. Yeah, if nothing makes sense, especially in their argument, I'm telling you that warrant is deficient on its face. And if you would have just said that we found the perpetrator's transfer DNA on a knife sheath in the crime scene, the judge would have said, then let's go back and put him in the house. Go back and give me hard evidence that DNA was deposited during the time of this crime. Right? So That's the problem with the PCA. And they filled it in with blase, blase, blase. We see a white car. We see a white car. We see a white car in this car. We see a white car in this car. It's consistent with suspect vehicle 1. Well, because a car speeds away from a home, right? Or speeds away from a neighborhood, that automatically means it was involved in the crime that happened in that neighborhood? Yeah, I think Cy Ray's contradicted himself with what he was saying to the court, what he signed his name to, and what he's out there talking about now, right? Let's see here. And if you guys don't mind hitting like, I'm not asking that because I get paid to do this, or I have advertisers support me. I don't have memberships. But if you hit like, then this conversation gets shared with others that may not even know it's out there. Inverters, though, all they do is they convert car power to DC, or DC power to AC power. Okay, that's what an inverter is. An inverter, if you're going to buy 2 of them, I don't know why you would buy 2 of them, but you'd have to know the wattage of the inverter. And so, yeah, I mean, if you've got some kind of 12-volt battery source, an inverter would convert that to alternating current. Right? The whole idea that he bought a knife a year before the crime, I don't know how relevant that is, because your wounds on Kaylee alone, so they tell you that all wasn't the same knife. And I think that if you look and you examine the wounds on all the other people, I don't think you can argue that exclusively. 2,500 watts is a decent inverter. You can get some shit done with that. 1,000 watts may be good for, I don't know, a laptop charger or something. Well, as far as his cleaning it, there was a spot of his own blood left in the car. Oops, Brian, you missed a spot. Happens to be your own blood. My bad. Yeah, I don't understand the need. What the point of buying an inverter? I mean, that could be something that he bought for personal use, for personal life and everyday life. No, a 2,500 watt generally wouldn't go through that. A cigarette lighter, it only has, I think, a 15 amp fuse. Maybe not even that big. Might be a 5 amp. But I haven't bought an inverter in a long time. I had an inverter on my boat. So why are we talking about an inverter? Nobody was killed with an inverter. Right? Yeah, and what car is a cig lighter these days? There you go. Well, so what? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't see the relevance of an inverter. And basically what we were told, his phone was shut off at 90% charge. That's what Cy Ray said. His phone didn't get turned. His phone was physically turned off. No, I got rid of the boat. I had a nice 32-foot cruiser with 2 big block engines in it. Slept 6, kitchen, bathroom, central heat, central air. That shit was badass. But that got gobbled up in a divorce. I don't know how it is that these divorces are so expensive and costly and consume so much in the way of wealth and material items, but there's something about a divorce that's highly dangerous to your cash, your credit, and your hard property items, right? Yeah, he went off with inverters to clean his car with inverters. Jesus Christ. In the middle of the night when it's dark out. Why would he go hide to clean his car? Why not just go to one of those self-cleans? There's no evidence he cleaned the car. They have no evidence they cleaned the car. Unlike diluted blood with unknown substance, diluted blood with an unknown. That says clean. There's nothing that says there was bleach used in the car. There's nothing to suggest that he ever removed the carpets in the car. There's nothing to suggest he ever removed the seats from the car, the door cards, the rubber covers on the pedals, the handles on the gear shift. I mean, let's be honest here. What is this guy? A multi-talented Casper the Friendly Ghost murderer? where he's not only capable of floating through a crime scene covered in blood and not leaving any drops on the floor, he's also capable of cleaning a vehicle on a dirt fucking road somewhere with an inverter? Come on, man. The dude kept steam cleaner in his trunk. I don't know what that's got to do with inverters. I don't know. No DNA in car. Did his dad sit? Yeah, no DNA in his car. They're talking about there's nothing in his car connecting to the crime scene. There's no victim DNA. There's no victim hair. There's no victim transfer DNA. Nothing. Right? I don't even know why I'm discussing things with you. If you think he did it, then he did it. There's no point trying to come in here and convince anybody of that. We're not talking about guilt or innocence. We're talking about the process, the legal process used against this man, whether he did it or not. And that legal process is fucked. It's deficient. It's full of lies. It's full of maybe, coulda, shoulda, woulda. And there's no direct evidence other than what they claim to be DNA found on a knife sheath that was not reported on any document until 3 days after the crime. The same knife sheath that had male DNA on it in blood that never was identified. Yet they took the microscopic particles off a Q-tip, okay, that didn't take up blood. Other Q-tips had blood samples on them. And they took the microscopic evidence to examine and then run IgG on it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that they would do that. How about the blood on the glove? How about the blood around the house? Unidentified male DNA. How about the blood under Maddie's phone or fingernails? See my message above. I'm sorry there. It's not easy sometimes. I get tunnel vision. I'm like one of them fucking Keystone cops in Idaho, bro. I remember when I joined the Army about to go to Hawaii, we had a class on inverters, or those who look like women on the downtown streets. That's just crazy, Richard. Inverters. Yeah, they're transformers now. Steam cleaner wouldn't perfectly clean the car either. Mixing blood with water doesn't eliminate the DNA within the blood sample, right? At 440, he's closer to the house in Moscow than even the state was alleging. Not good for Brian Kober. Why isn't it good? I don't understand how that's not good. 448 was long after the crime. That's 28 minutes after the crime. I don't care where he was after the crime or before the crime. I want to see that he was there during the crime, right? What's up there, Jilly Bean? Nice to hear you laugh, sir. Let's see. I mean, let's examine. Is there anything you guys found particularly disturbing in the probable cause affidavit? I found the whole document disturbing, all 18 pages of it. It was a wild tale. It was a conspiracy theory, like Pavarotti puts out. Pavarotti comes out with the documentation and the argument to support his conspiracy theory, more complete than Idaho did to put Brian in jail. Well, you have no evidence the guy steam cleaned his car. And I don't know how a steam cleaner penetrates all the way down to the fucking metal of the car through a carpet. I don't know. There was no argument the car had been steam cleaned. There was no even statement that there were any chemicals used to clean that car. Nothing. They ripped that car apart. Unbelievable. I mean, these are things that are possible, but since there's no evidence to support it, then you have to take it off the possibility list. When they say that there was no victim DNA or evidence otherwise in that vehicle, then that vehicle is excluded from being part of the crime. You can argue all you want. You can argue all you want that he cleaned it, but then show us the process to which he cleaned it. Did you find severe chemical stains in the vehicle or severe use of chemicals? Did you find the car in pristine as if it just walked off a showroom floor? No. How about the trunk? What about the back passenger compartment? Look, they ripped this car apart, and they could find nothing to connect that vehicle to that crime scene. So then find something contrary to that, something to explain that the car was used but cleaned. I mean, those are the only two options the state has when they're trying to prosecute you. You have to make some kind of an argument. If you're telling me that car was there, and you got blood all over the place, then come on. You have to support your accusation with at least even a half-assed argument, like his phone went off the air at a particular point in time and he didn't come back on until after the crime. And we think this is his car during the crime. It's like, get the fuck on. But at least they're making an effort, right? At least they were making an effort. You're making an effort that he cleaned the car, but there's no argument by the state that he did. There's no evidence. The state said there's nothing to connect Brian Koberger to the house or to the victims. Nothing, electronically or otherwise. And so now where do you go? A clean car isn't circumstantial either. I mean, people in America are all about their car. Go listen to the Europeans that were here for that soccer tournament. Everything is designed around the car. Food, banking. You know, some Europeans said, I'm surprised you can't give birth through a drive-through. He said the whole country is designed around the automobile and the conveniences. And so what up with that? I don't know, man. I don't accept that he cleaned the car because they didn't give me any reason to think that he did. Full throttle, Jelly Bean. It's kind of a bummer. Yeah, it's the soil testing. What's soil testing? What's soil testing there? Live, laugh, toaster bath. Who's saying that his dad's DNA wasn't in the car? They weren't looking for his father's DNA. And if they found any DNA that belonged to Brian, of course, why didn't they say Brian's DNA? They said they found a blood spot of Brian's under the seat, right? So, yeah, you're just stretching there, live, love, toaster bath. I don't know where the hell you come from with that. The tested soils to compare with the shovel in Brian Koberger's trunk. Come on now. It's in the document where it says they matched the soil on Brian Koberger's shovel to the soil around 1122 King Road. That's what's in the documents. Is that what you're trying to suggest? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what the point of that is. That was never brought up in any of the arguments made in their case. Nobody's mentioned anything about that shovel containing dirt that's consistent with 1122 King Road. Maybe they tested to see if it was, but they never really made any conclusion or put that forward as a piece of evidence, as far as we know. Well, I don't, I don't know. They might have argued at trial. Who knows? It was a ninja shovel. That was his co-conspirator. The shovel was possessed, and the shovel was capable of sorting through a kill kit to hand Mr. Koberger the weapons required to do the damage he did to the victims. So at the time that he needed a device to bludgeon poor Kaylee, the shovel was front and center and ready to go to work. I haven't seen your questions there, by the way, Alicia. The chat, I'm pretty happy. Was there 72 people in here? 72 of you crazy bastards in here listening to the king of crazy. All right? Although I have what I consider a fun crazy. Within 10 miles of Moscow. Well, that doesn't matter. The guy's a hiker. And that's within 10 miles. So you mean if I go 10.1 miles, the soil changes and the soil is no longer consistent with any of the dirt that you could have got from Queen Road? Come on now. That's quite awesome. From what I know, if you dig down in the soil where I live, you're going to find sand in it because I live by one of the Great Lakes, and that Great Lake covered an area many, many miles from here, right? I'm sure there's a cutoff point, but I don't know. I don't know where. I never saw the documents that you're referring to on the shovel. I'd like to see the documents. In all fairness, I'd like to see the documents for that conclusion. Half the world got one story and the other half got a different one. There's been a reason why Brian was singled out. I know if this is evidence was against me and I didn't do it, the Snake River is the cutoff. All right. I never read a distance either, rather regions. It's in the MPD. Well, obviously it wasn't anything of significance that they thought. They'd rather make up stories about the car, right? They'd rather ignore hard DNA samples and go fuck around with dirt. What kind of a bunch of fucking dirt diggers are in Idaho? I know they plant fucking potatoes, but come on. Come on. Leave the dirt alone and do the examination on the blood samples that you collected and didn't do anything with, other than identify him as male. Unknown male, unknown male, unknown male. Sounds like the amount of fucking dudes someone's mother slept with. Unknown male, unknown male. Who's my dad? Unknown male. Right? I mean, come on. Yeah, fuck Cyray's point. He buried the stuff. Come on. I mean, he's making inferences based on no information at all. Got to dig in that dirt to get them taters. You know it, Brandon. Cyray is making conclusions based on no fact of evidence at all, other than a shovel with dirt on it. Right? I'm just saying, no. He could have. I'm just, yeah, I know he could have. He could have walked to the crime scene. He could have jogged. Right? He could have got an Uber. No, I'm biased against her evidence. I don't think Kohlberger's. Oh, look who's here. My God. She's here. She stayed up. Well, there's a link pinned to the thing there, Kathy. You're welcome to come on up here so I can ask you some interesting questions. There she is. And I could get this chat's driving me crazy. I don't think Kohlberger's innocent. I don't think Kohlberger's guilty. Maybe, Rich. I don't remember. And if I did, well, at least you have the Constitution to show up again. I appreciate it. Yeah, Sarge can get crazy because, you know, I do eat that crazy food during the day. There is a link down below there, Kathy, if you'd like to come up. Because I do think that, oh, here she is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to all those concerned, to all those interested, it's time to welcome to the Your Ass Hurts News Network stage a friend of mine, I think. I don't know. Maybe after the show. But let's add her to the stage and welcome Kathy's sole proprietor, Indie Zone operator.
Hi, Sergeant Friday. How are you?
How are you? I'm awesome.
All right. I can't say another word until you call that. You know, my favorite, when you call the Moscow Police Department, the Keystone Cops.
That's right. The Keystone Cops. They test everything that's irrelevant and then make stories up about it.
How are you this evening, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. You know, you're bringing me back to my childhood when I was asked, did you eat that cookie?
No.
And I'd say, no, I ate the cookie from over there.
So what's going on? I'm sorry I'm a little late. I've been running around.
No, that's okay. I know you're on the, what is it, Devil's Advocate?
Yeah, we were on there for a little bit, and oh my gosh, we just saw this interview from. I don't know what to make of it anymore, Sergeant Friday. This interview with Cyray, I'm confused. I am with Cyray. He was on one of these mainstream media with Olivia and with Mr. Gonzalez. And he's getting all buddy with them. He's wanting to be, I guess, I don't know, part of the prosecution. I don't know.
He's the best witness Brian could ever have. No, you know, I mean, he's a hostile witness for Kohlberger. If it gets to that stage,
we know there's no love lost between Judge Stephen J. Hippler, who is going to be presiding over Kohlberger versus Idaho in the coming days and weeks. So
what do you think of Cyray being cross-examined as a hostile witness and being questioned about, you thought he was guilty before you joined the team? I did. You think he's guilty now? I do. And yet the evidence you produced, can you explain to us the evidence you signed, this affidavit showing that he wasn't anywhere near the house? I mean,
Sergeant,
you just run that guy over. Huh?
I'm so very confused because I don't think, I'm a little bit in shock too, because this would be almost like, I don't know if I can use this with, women go to gynecologists and the gynecologist knows all about you in a very personal way. It would be like your gynecologist going out and flipping and telling all your secrets to someone to do harm to you. It's like such a betrayal. I
You're
have
spreading the
never,
rumor that you have a sexually transmitted disease.
yeah, I mean, something, confidential.
Yeah.
To have somebody to go out, somebody that you trust, like a doctor, doctor privilege, doctor patient privilege, lawyer client privilege. It's the same with experts. Every one of the people who worked in Idaho versus Koberger, they were employed at the leisure of Brian Koberger. They worked for him. It was his case.
Right.
Yes, Ann Taylor could give legal advice, and perhaps Brent Turby, I don't know if he ever met Koberger, but would give his advice as to what he's seeing. But at the end of the day, Koberger runs the show. And if Koberger said, for example, get me out of here, I want you to file an appeal like last August, and Taylor didn't do it, or they'd be in real deep, because it's his life. At the end of the day, he runs the show. So to see Cy Ray to this extent, I thought it was bad on Custody Queens, but to see him, I'm trying to do Jesse something or somebody, I forget who it was, one of these mainstream media places, and to basically have him say, he's saying that he can place Koberger in the house.
Well, now listen.
He said he can place Koberger in the house. It's like, where did this come from?
Wasn't that contradicting his signed affidavit?
Indeed, sir. Like 160%.
Perjury, then.
How
180.
How in a million years could he have said he was going to be part of his alibi defense, Sergeant Friday, and try to persuade the jury that Mr. Koberger, you must find not guilty because he was at or he was somewhere else. He was nowhere near the crime scene, to now saying he's in the crime scene. The only reason why he has access to what he did is because he worked for Mr. Koberger. And therefore he had access to records. It's not like you could go into a library and obtain them. And he had access to be Mr. Koberger's expert witness. So I find this, it's blowing my mind. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do if and when he thinks, whatever happens, if Koberger, unless Judge Stephen J. Hippler retires, what gets removed, something, he's in it for the long haul. He's here for the post-conviction relief. Okay, we're hoping to get to an evidentiary hearing and not get this thing dismissed out. Now, he was appointed counsel today, and a lot of people thought, Hippler's he's out to get him. No, Koberger was not entitled at this level. It is not guaranteed, even if you're indigent, even if you're in prison, to get defense counsel. Not defense counsel. He's plaintiff now, basically, to get counsel. But Hippler said you will have counsel, at the state's expense during this entire case, this entire post-conviction relief matter. So now what we're going to see is I think, an amended petition.
I wonder.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wonder if now that this much time has passed, that Hippler himself hasn't really given a better look at what was on his docket. I think truly deep down that he understood what he understood from the prosecution's point of view, that he didn't have the whole story from the court proceedings in front of Judge. It was dumped in his lap, and he also had a bias or a pre-conclusion, and this state's evidence was good enough for him. And I think now that more discovery is being released, right? And there's not even the expert testimony, but factual evidence that can't be disputed. The hair, right? The blood samples that weren't tested, all this other stuff that's now out in the public may also be bothering Hippler himself.
Oh,
right?
I think so. I think at the end of the day, he's law and order. I think that he expects his orders to have been adhered to. He was very upset at the final pretrial conference because he was, if you recall, last May 15th, it was supposed to start at 9 o'clock. And I said, where's Hippler? Hippler is usually a stickler to be on time. They didn't get started until almost 9:30 because they went behind closed doors and they discussed the leak. The leak is actually a violation of Judge Hippler's non-dissemination order. He was very upset. He felt that it was either the prosecution or law enforcement. You can look at the orders that went out, guys. I'm not making this up. This is what he wrote and what he said at the hearing. And so he's got that. He's got, now this circus of, people are going out, they're giving interviews. You got Cy Ray, who he was not fond of to begin with. Now he's splitting.
I wonder if Cy Ray isn't the leaker.
That's a good point. We'll never know. But I mean,
and he's looking to court. He's looking to make court with the guys that could probably tear him down.
Sergeant Friday, that's exactly what. If you have not had an opportunity to watch this interview, it was with maybe somebody in chat knows.
How long is the interview?
It's about it's like 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It's with Jesse something. I can't remember his last name. But
is it something I could play on my stream and not get a strike for? See, I don't know how to do that.
I don't know. I don't want you to get a strike. We just watched it on Devil's Advocate, but I don't want you to get a strike. I mean,
I don't want to either. I do
this Jesse Weber show. Hey, Dago's here. Dago will tell you what that's all about.
It's just, where's Dago?
Dago's in chat. I just saw him.
Oh no, he's down below.
Yeah. Hey, is he here?
You need new glasses, boss man.
Long time no see, Dago.
It's funny. I've been putting off getting my eye examined, and my right eye is blurry. I definitely need something done here. I think I'm going to go for the laser surgery if it's available.
No, it was Jesse Weber, and yeah, you can play it, Sarge, without getting struck. We've all played it all day.
Oh yeah, I played it all day. All right. So how many people in the chat room want to see the interview that haven't seen it? I mean, if you've seen it, I don't want to douse everybody with another interview. That's been seen.
Is Twiz in chat? Twiz, I want to hear what you have to say. But Dago,
someone get a link for it if they can. Do you got a link?
You want it? I'll get it for you. Hold on.
Yeah, if you can, there, Dago.
Dago, you're just a bomb.
Did you hear about those Dago tires, Kathy?
I'm sorry.
You hear about those Italian tires, the Dago tire?
Here we go.
No.
Yeah, they go through rain, they go through snow, and when they go flat, they go wop, wop, wop. You've never heard of those?
No. Oh, God, that's terrible.
Love you too, Sarge.
Hey, Twiz, are you going to be attending any of the hearings in Judge Hippler's courtroom if there is an evidentiary hearing? Or if there is, then what we need to do is we have to remind ourselves that if there is a new trial that is going to be ordered, and that's a big F, and that's down the line. There's a lot that has to happen before we ever get down there. It's going to get bumped back to Hippler again. And then it's going to be Idaho versus Kohberger Part 2. So I don't know what Cy Ray is thinking. If he thinks he's going to get away from Hippler at some point, he's not. Hippler is the judge for post-conviction relief.
Yeah.
And if there is a trial, he will be the judge for Idaho versus Kohberger Part 2.
Is he or is he not? I mean, we'll watch this interview, but how is it you can write an affidavit claiming the location of Kohberger elsewhere, and now you're out there saying you could place him in the house?
No idea.
This is what's wrong with law enforcement, and he's a typical example. Is these guys, I don't know what their deal is. It's as if you find the lowest IQ possible to actually manage these systems.
Sergeant Friday, I don't think you've ever seen anything like this. I'm still in shock here. I just gave Sergeant Friday my gynecologist example, doctor patient, but he knew exactly.
Well, her gynecologist is my brother. She just doesn't know it yet.
Hold on here.
It's Sergeant Friday. It's that complete lack of trust. I mean, he's got to be feeling so exposed right now, as you would if a doctor betrayed you. Somehow.
I think that my first thought, based on just what I've heard, is that he's trying to cover up for his leak. That's what I'm thinking. That's
an interesting point.
I mean, think about that. This guy's all of a sudden trying to jump over to the other side, and the other side probably just wants to hang him for leaking.
Well, it's that, and then I'm wondering what remedies Mr. Kohberger has, because this guy only has the information that you're going to hear him talking about. because Mr. Koberger basically was his boss. He came over to work on the defense side. This is why I've been saying so long. If at some point he got, maybe at the beginning he didn't think, or maybe this was a setup from the beginning, I don't know. But at a certain point when he's into the case, he's seeing here, I can't represent this, why didn't he disqualify himself and say, I'm sorry, Ms. Taylor, I got a conflict here. I can't go on the stand and try to convince this jury to as to this partial alibi defense. I can't do it.
The link's backstage, Sarge. Private chat.
I'm just editing my title.
No problem.
Hey, everybody, get your friends and family over here. We want to grow this channel for Sergeant Friday. He's going to be very busy in the coming weeks and months.
And like I was going to say, hit like, folks, not for any reason other than the fact I want to be in the algorithm. But remember, I do this on my own time at my own expense. I don't ask for memberships, monies. I don't post commercials for
Don't
cash.
do it because you like them, because that won't be the right answer.
According to Dago, who needs a crack on the head, but he's too far away.
Oh, God.
All right, hang on. I'm going to open up this link.
Sarge is one of my faves. Everybody knows.
I love Sarge.
I'm a hot mess. Okay, so it's the.
Yes, you are. That's what we love.
15 hours ago, phone records reveal premeditation by Koberger. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the one I threw. Did you find it? Private chat.
Give me a link. It brought me to the page.
Yeah, that should take you right to the interview, direct interview. If not, let me know. I'll give you the other link.
Was it posted 15 hours ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's one of the links I could choose from.
Anyone who
it was general.
Prepare yourselves. Whatever side of the fence that you're on, whether you feel that Mr. Koberger is guilty or not guilty, if you feel he was an accessory before, after the fact, co-conspirator, whatever it is, just prepare yourself for this. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Oh, here we go.
Okay, so I'm waiting for YouTube to pick it up. Let me go live on YouTube, see if it's picked it up, and it has. All right, folks, let me know about volume. I'm going to crank it up. I'm going to go to full screen so that you can see it to its greatest potential.
We're going to piss some people off.
And we're going to hit play.
About Brian Koberger, the man who pleaded guilty to murdering 4 University of Idaho students and now wants to take it all back. I'm back with Cy Wright, who at one point in time was a potential expert witness for the defense team should it have gone to trial, a geolocation expert, the chief innovation officer at Vernews. He studied Koberger's AT&T records. We just talked about the accuracy of them, what the prosecution might have been missing. But now we have something special. Never happened before. I've never done it. I am joined by the father of victim Kaylee Gonsalves, Steve, who I had on the program last night, and Kaylee's sister, Olivia, who have questions for Cy. It's great to see you both. Thank you both for taking the time. I'm really just going to hand it off to you, Steve. I understand, respect Cy for standing by his work, but you say not everybody's doing that. I turn it to you for the question that you might have for Cy.
Yeah, well, Cy Wright came out and stood by his work, stood by what his professional opinion was. He wasn't paid. There's a lot of people who were paid and then turned that into some kind of for-profit, enterprise. And I just wanted to respect somebody who stood by their work because I need more of that. I think a lot of courtrooms need more people to stand by what their expert testimony is. And these gag orders are kind of cloaking devices to keep people from actually being responsible for their so-called expert witness testimony. So there's not a lot of opportunities I get to speak to an expert, to somebody who's actually seen the data that is related to my daughter's death. And I don't take that lightly. And Cy has daughters as well as I do. And I think his heart's in the right place. And I wanted to reach out and find out, like, these questions that I have that even the defense and the prosecutor, nobody wants to help me with. So if he's willing to, tell me, hey, how can you have cell tower dumps, the whole tower dump, and then his phone turns on at 4:48? How is that not? How do we not have timing records in there? How do we not have that? That's my main question for him.
Cy?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things to look at with that question. Number one, when his phone turns back on, there's no doubt the route that he took. There is no doubt the connections to the towers. I've been very concerned from the get-go of why we're not seeing that data. The map that's on the screen right now is a perfect example. That was a map that was used in all of the search warrants. Essentially, you will find that map right there repeating throughout every search warrant. It's wrong. And it's wrong in a number of disturbing ways. And when you actually take the data that's out there and you map it, I can tell you, Steve, there's no doubt where that device is when it turns back on. And it's not Thorny Creek Road. It's south of there. It's still on 95. It's still southbound. It does eventually pull off and it travels east and then west and then kind of back up to the north to come back into WSU. But we're talking 25-meter radius GPS pings. And they perfectly align with the roadway. When you measure the distances between them, the speeds are 100% appropriate. You can see the vehicle come to like a three-way intersection and it turns left. And the next one, it turns right. It is turn by turn. There's absolutely no doubt. I've been saying from day one, they need to map all the data. They need to go get the data. They need to map the data. And I reserve the right to change my opinion until all of that data is put forth because I think it tells a story. And I don't know how an expert prompts both the investigative side and the defense side of, hey, these are bottom line basic steps that need to be taken. If that was done, what would be found is the very next day, he mirrors that exact same route. He starts off in Pullman, he comes into Moscow, he drives down 95, he pulls onto the dirt road. He's in the exact same area that he drove the night before after immediately committing these crimes. And after he goes to that area, he drives straight to the Snake River just after dusk, getting into the darkness about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And why would somebody be driving to the Snake River on that path? It's concerning to me because we also see some activity that is indicative, in my opinion, of him looking at his navigation, specifically using his phone to get into a perfect area. The other thing is pattern of life. We got 6 months worth of records on Mr. Koberger. It's very easy for us to see what his normal pattern looks like. This is a complete deviation from that normal pattern, and it stands out. It tells a story.
That's very compelling to hear. And look, it highlights what an overarching theme has been criticism of prosecutors in this case. Olivia, I want to throw it to you. I understand you have questions as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the questions I came prepared for kind of moot compared to this one. So you're speaking of GPS data, which I'll be honest, I really wasn't aware of. So when you speak turn by turn, is it fair to assume that that data, you mentioned it went back 6 months, was used for the CAST report, which did put the defendant at my sister's home on 23 previous occasions? Because I know a lot of pushback that happens is when it comes to this cell tower, they say there's only 2 in Moscow, it only narrows it down 10 miles. Can you kind of help to dispel some of the specificity that can happen with GPS data that was on his device?
I hate that I can't keep this a secret.
Hey,
I canceled all my food delivery
Sergeant
subscriptions
Friday,
and
can you take
upgraded
some comments
to
right now?
and it's totally
Stop
transformed the way I
second.
eat because every meal is crafted by award-winning.
I'm going to tell you, here's my opinion only. It's worth 5 cents. The only reason why these two want anything to do with him is because he represented Koberger. That's it.
Well, no,
right.
because he agrees with Koberger committing the crime. That's
Right.
the primary.
But yes, but how did he get access to all this information that he was able to evaluate? Number one. And number two, I'm thinking back to when he was on the stand in Latah County. I don't recall him saying anything like this.
It's not in the report either. It just now came
Not in
out
the
after
report.
Brian puts this out.
Not only is it
Do
not
you-
in the report, but Ann kept asking for this discovery, and he got bowled over by Hippler because of the specificity of information he said they weren't giving him, that they had it, that they had to have it, and that they're covering up, and that's right. I mean, look at what he went after them for. Where did he get it then? Where did he get this from?
That's what I'd like to know. I want to know, would Olivia here and Mr. Gonzalez want anything to do with this guy if he wasn't Koberger's defense expert or proposed? Who even knows if Hippler would have put him on the stand? There's no love lost between Judge Hippler and him. None. You know,
Oh, he made a direct accusation against the prosecution.
Knows who this guy is because of the Idaho versus Koberger case. He's a dime a dozen. The fact that he turns on his own client like this, I hope Koberger goes after his license. That's what I hope he does. I hope he sues the pants off this guy because he's trying to get post-conviction relief right now. And this one's shooting off his mouth as Koberger's own expert witness and telling people things that we never heard him say before.
I agree. I
And
think
it gets better, Sarge. Just
horrified
wait.
that anyone would do this. For what?
but I think
Money?
he makes the perfect witness for Brian Koberger to be a hostile witness.
Yeah, and it gets so much better, Sarge. Wait till you hear the next.
Wait,
big thing he says.
I can't wait until Hippler. If he even gets near the courtroom, they may throw him out because he's an accident and he's going out and he's doing all this. Who knows what they're going to do? This is like we're in unprecedented territory here.
Right.
The whole case is unprecedented. How do you have blood samples and only IgG, a Q-tip with nothing on it? Nothing was on a Q-tip. But that's the one you're going to concentrate on?
Good point.
I mean, you got to be out of your mind. That knife sheath had 2 other male DNAs on it in blood. I don't care how small the sample was. It's blood, and it's visible to the naked eye. But you're going to take the invisible Q-tip and make your case.
Is that Twiz?
Yep.
Twiz is it.
Hi. How have you
All
been?
right,
Where have you been? Where have you been?
Been around.
All right, I'm going to go back to playing this a little bit more here.
My agita.
We're 5.5 minutes into a 13-minute clip.
Yeah, and I need to break that into 2 pieces. Number one, the 23 prior visits based on that cast report is 100% inaccurate. It would never hold up in court. Any expert in this field who reviewed that report would be able to show you incredible flaws. The problem, too, is it isn't just 1 or 2. All 23 of those that are reported in the cast report are wrong. They're inaccurate. The times are off. It's just a really bad analysis. With that said, if the agency and the investigators actually dug into the records they have, not only is there evidence of Brian Koberger being in the area of that house, there's evidence of him being on the property. There's things that they could follow up on to confirm this. And in my report, and luckily it's just been released, I actually outlined follow-up that would be reasonable to assume an investigator would do to confirm the prior visits to the house, which I think are very critical. Pattern of life is everything in this case, seeing the planning phase and then leading up to the actual murders themselves, us being able to piece that back together and tell a comprehensive story that makes sense, that's the job of the investigators. So I can tell you that I feel very comfortable that Brian Koberger was in the general area of the house several times leading up to the murders. I think he came by the house the next morning. I think he came by the house the day after that. So there's more than enough evidence to show that. There are databases and ways that if the right people use the right legal process to exploit today, the data's still there. There is some really good information that could come out that I believe would show the device actually at or inside the house, opposed to just near it.
Steve, this is an important conversation based on what we talked about last night.
I want to make this point. I don't know that the state can bring it. Let's say this did go, it gets the appeal done, right? I don't think you can introduce new evidence. The state itself. The state took a plea deal under conditions and under the evidence that they disclosed. I'm not sure that if this goes back to trial, that you could change the parameters of the trial and bring in evidence that was never disclosed.
Yeah, but wouldn't this be a different trial, Sarge? That's what I was wondering.
No.
You don't know? Okay.
I don't think
my
so.
big question
I think that he pled guilty to the circumstances outlined by the state. Now that's what. Now, if he gets the right to appeal that, he's fighting what the state was arguing was their proof that he was a killer. I don't know that the state can all of a sudden create a whole new case to go against the guy.
That's what I.
Well, he's asking to get the plea taken off. So
he is, and if he gets it taken off and it goes forward, I think there's limits to what can be brought into that courtroom. Now, the defendant can bring in new evidence. That may be even the basis for a new trial. But I don't know that, and the state can argue that. But if Brian Koberger doesn't specifically bring in Cyray's testimony, then I don't think the state can.
So that doesn't change the case then at all, huh?
I don't think so. Kathy is a smart woman. She's and I was going to interview her a little bit, and that got hidden. But what say you, Kathy? Oh, yeah, I don't even think she's in here.
I'm sorry.
she's just muted.
I had to go get my frosted flakes.
Oh, okay. And I want the audience to know I did pay for StreamYard. And I got it for less than I'd ever got it before. It was like $16 a month or something, but I paid.
Because they're trying to get people.
I had to step out. What was going on with the?
Okay, let's say the post conviction appeal is
Your camera's on. Or that? Do we have another person join? Oh, I thought that was Kathy. Never mind.
No, it's Casey
No,
Lowe.
it's somebody different, I think.
Well, here's the question, Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets the post conviction relief, and then the state gets to try him, is that trial limited to the information that they used, or can they bring in new information?
Well, that's a great question because they got to start all. Am I getting an echo here?
Yeah, a little bit, but you're okay.
Okay. It just depends. I mean, we're gonna have to start all over again. I would argue that you got to stay with what PCA says.
That's what I wondered earlier. I kind of brought that up.
We're not going to start from scratch. We're going to, we need a new trial. He was getting ready to go to trial. That's a really good question, though. Getting ready to go to trial. We want to go back in time to July 2nd, 2026. Not start from the beginning of the case. Because remember, he's not filing a direct appeal. He's filing for post-conviction relief regarding what happened.
And if granted post-conviction relief, right?
That post-conviction relief attacks the sentence and the conviction. What had happened at that time that we just couldn't figure out? How many times did we say what happened at the end of the case? What happened between Friday? They're sending in jury instructions. I mean, everything is there. They were pick up again. Start off with jury selection, guys. We got our PCA. You got your evidence. We're gonna have, but I mean that's a long way down.
So it's going to be basically the same caseload for the same type of trial. Then is what my question was.
So we're gonna have to see. I mean, he's vacating.
If he gets granted post conviction relief, that's the next stage, and then I think. It's good. I don't know. This guy's credibility is kind of effed.
Oh my God!
Because of the statements the affidavit he signed, the motion that he helped file with Ann, telling the prosecutor, what did they say said something nasty about the prosecution.
Well, you had said, Sergeant Friday, before we pulled this guy up here, you had said something, like Hippler. Hippler had said, Hippler was like he had gotten this dumped in his lap. Remember when this case came over? It had been going on for almost 2 years. Remember the PCA document number 1 in the case, the affidavit of probable cause, was signed by Detective Brett Payne December 29th. All right, 2022. I got my AI voice on just for you right now.
I appreciate it.
All right, that's document number 1. And the case had been going almost 2 years. It went over to Hippler in mid-September of 2024. So this case had already been in 2 years almost. And then Hippler puts out the new trial order October 9th. They get into all of everything, throw the DP off the table. No, that's all been denied. The motions in limine, all, that did what they did, all of the suppression motions, and they were just getting ready to go to trial. Now, is he going to say, okay, we're going to start from scratch? What you had said, though, you said this got dumped in Hippler, is it Hippler's lap? And he really didn't maybe know what happened in Latah County. That's sort of why I want to bring you back to July of last year when they were wanting to set aside, the media got involved in 2 things. They wanted to set aside the gag order, which Hippler agreed. He set it aside. And they wanted the case immediately unsealed, which Hippler said no. And that's when he announced he was going to do a few months at a time. But he said, going to what you said, Sarge, he's going to start from the end of the case because that's what he's familiar with. And then he's going to work his way back.
Right.
A year into it, right? A year plus into it. Who knows what the leak investigation, we know it went criminal. Right? We just don't know who. I think at this point, good possibility that they know who it was.
I think the problem that they have is this, because it just dawned on me, Kathy, is that the entire case is predicated on the data that they used to get the plea deal. The probable cause affidavit and every allegation of the movement of the vehicle, including Brian Koberger himself, is predicated on the information they introduced. If they're going to withdraw that and try to reintroduce new information, I'm not sure that they're going to be allowed to do that.
That's what my gut's telling me, but I just don't know. Who knows what it, with Idaho.
We'll see what happens if he gets granted post-conviction relief, and I'll do some reading on it. But I think from my experience with the law, that you're locked in. This is what you use to get a plea deal. And if now you're going to come forward and say that your stuff was deficient or wrong, I don't know if you're not creating double jeopardy.
Well, look at what they got. Look at what they got. Look at what they got.
That's what my question was.
David, a probable.
Can I say something?
Page 18 is signed under penalty of perjury. You know, you got Detective Brett Payne on the stand. What was all that perjured? You know what he said?
Right. Let someone wanted to ask a question or say something. Go ahead.
Can I say something?
Go ahead. Who are you that's talking? Just so we know.
Casey.
Oh, go ahead, Casey. Casey. Well, yeah.
Watch your screen, Sarge.
Yeah, I'm ready to mute and boot.
This is what Hippler said in a hearing, that if you're going to introduce any new evidence, they have to have a pretty good reason to do it.
Yeah. Okay. There. See, Twist. I think we'll see what happens. Let's see if he gets his post-conviction relief. It's going to be completely amazing to see what arguments he makes. And I wonder if what Cy Ray is sharing with the public now isn't one of the arguments he made that was made to Brian Kohberger. Right? What if this was in the and a conversation with Kohberger before he changed his plea, that his own experts saying, yeah, I could show you at that house.
Well, he says later on that he told the defense 100 times that they're lucky that the state didn't contact them first.
Yeah, I mean, that's coercion. That would be a part of the coercion. So I'm going to continue playing this. We've only got about, a few minutes left in it.
I'll say it again. I'll say it one more time. I think the likelihood that he gets a new trial is very, 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 very low. But if this is now a conversation about a potential new trial, do you want Cy to be part of this push for investigators, for law enforcement, for prosecutors to essentially, if I'm understanding this all correctly, be more thorough?
It's almost bigger than that. Technology is moving so fast. It's radically fast. And I'm an IT guy and I can barely keep up. These courtrooms, when they were talking about a JSON file, I just wanted to jump up in front of the judge and say, this is ridiculous. There's no expert in the room right now. So I think what we need to do is embrace technology more. And we need to have experts that are actually driven just based off of technology. And things have to change. I mean, the courtroom, I'm watching somebody typing when the whole thing's being recorded. They resist change. They don't want change. We have to embrace change. And that's how we get justice, is we start embracing, this technology. And that's what I'm trying to say is this case, bring it on. The evidence is there. I'm not scared of it. I actually think there's so much undiscovered evidence that this case is actually should have been case law. It should have been case law. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get there. And I'm trying to save another family from dealing with the same headache that we just went through. And we're talking about life and death, and it's that important.
I mean, Cy said it before. Two things could be true at once. Brian Kohberger could be guilty, but there could be faulty parts of the investigation.
Exactly.
Olivia, you said you had other questions that you felt are moot. What are those other questions that you had, or anything that you want to address for Cy?
Yeah, so a lot of my questions were just about kind of the analysis and how specific we can get, data. I have my phone right here. Obviously, it's connected to Wi-Fi, but let's say it wasn't. Could you know that I was right here just with cell tower data? Or would it require an additional piece like a timing advance record?
It would definitely require something additional than just cell tower connections. And I think the question you're asking is really pivotal, and it mirrors exactly what Steve is bringing out. You have to ask for it. You have to know what to ask for. You have to know the proper legal process to obtain it. And then the most important thing here is you have to be able to analyze it. You have to be able to properly analyze it. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds of some of the knowledge that I'm talking about tonight, because some of this hasn't been released, but I feel very comfortable stating there is no work product in this case that took the 4 victims' phones, 6 months worth of records, which they have, it's in evidence, took Brian Kohberger's 6 months worth of records and sat down and did a deep dive analysis of seeing where those devices intersect and when they collide. And I feel very comfortable in this next statement that if somebody did that on the prosecution investigative side, it's not a mystery of where some of these connections happened. It's not a mystery of what I'm going to say, at least the pre-planning phase of this crime. There's some very telling evidence in those phone records that, to your point, we can be a little bit more specific. We can be a little bit more isolated instead of just saying, well, both phones are in Moscow. Yeah, no, they're actually both on the same street corner. Or more importantly, there's a couple phones that belong in Moscow that are in Pullman at times. And there's an intersection and a collision between Koberger and a couple of the victims in Pullman. So the evidence is there. It just needs to be properly analyzed.
So I just got to jump in 1 second as I'm listening to you speak, and I'm listening to your expertise in this and thinking that you were retained by the defense at one point. You are quite knowledgeable. You are the kind of expert that any side would want. Did you, in your experience, the reason I say that is because Brian Koberger is saying he had bad lawyers. He had ineffective assistance of counsel. That's what he's claiming right now. I'm thinking all I've ever heard is that he had good attorneys. And if they were considering you, I feel like that's a good attorney. From your perspective, do you think that he had incompetent, ineffective counsel from your experiences on that side?
Here, now he's going to become, now he's going to become the Chief
necessity
Justice of the Idaho Supreme
people
Court and assess the attorneys.
Sarge, hold on. Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's just he's asked this idiot Jesse over here is asking him a question. This is an ex-cop. He does whatever he does with CSLI. That's what he's trained to do. He's asking him now to give an assessment, and because he's so arrogant, he's now going to assess the work that attorneys did. Let's hear what he has to say.
My biggest thing with this, real quick though, is why did none of this come out before?
Thank you.
None of this. I mean,
why would it have?
Well, I mean, because honestly, if this is real, okay, if it's real and it's serious, it's not in his report. None of it has anything to do with anything, and it's. I'm just saying, if you look at it, from the perspective that I am, I mean, it's convenient because Brian posts the non-conviction, or I'm sorry, the post-conviction relief. I said that backwards. My apologies. Anyway, and then conveniently, like the next day, boom, here we sit with this. It's weird, is all I'm saying.
It is weird. It is weird. I've never seen anything like. I bet you he probably went to the prosecution first, tried to get himself in, and they told him to go take a hike, and so whatever. Somebody calls him, and then he's on the defense side, and now he's going to. Why didn't he know any of this when he was? They went until what, July 2nd. When did he learn all this information that he could put Mr. Koberger in the house?
Right.
When did that happen?
I don't know, but it was before that hearing in Latah.
Well, you said that he told you, but you said he told you he could place him in Wildway Park.
No, I did not.
You said he was south of the house, way south of the house. That's what Cy Ray told you. Sure, you did.
Cy Ray told me that Brian Koberger was far south of Moscow that night. That's what Cy Ray told me. He didn't say Lewiston.
And that was in Latah County. You're talking, that's like May of 23. When the hell does he figure out that Mr. Koberger's in the house? And how does he know? How's he get in the house? And
Cy Ray was there to counter the state. It wasn't to prove Brian was innocent.
Well, we know
the state lied.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because in our country, that's not the standard. The standard is not that Mr. Koberger over there or anyone has to prove themselves innocent. Is that the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that.
Right, and he was saying that the state lied.
That part is absolute. We know that for sure. But he's completely changed. Like I did it. You were in there, I think. I proved it earlier today when he did his interview with the Queens. And then in his report, he says the exact opposite of what he's saying.
But what is his report about?
I mean, what do you mean?
It's about the state, right? To counter what the state was saying.
And also because of the alibi defense, then they say where Koberger was, which was Wildway Park.
Well, it actually doesn't say that if you read it. It says he was out driving that night, and then it says he goes out driving to look at the stars, moon, stargazing, blah, blah. It's just filler. The Wildway Park has nothing to do with it. That's why during the Custody Queens interview, I started freaking out in chat because I don't understand why Ann put the Wildway Park thing in there. The whole alibi thing is shit. That's why I'm freaking out. It has like people are like, well, Cy-Ray didn't say shit other than where Brian was at 448. That's what I've been waiting for. It's nowhere near the park. You couldn't even get to where Brian was leaving the park.
But I want to know, when did he tell Ann that Mr. Koberger, he could put him in the house? When?
That's my question.
Put him in the house when? Because it's not the night of the crimes.
He's saying here he can. I'm sorry.
No. He's talking about the 6 month of history previously. Before the night of the crimes, he can place Brian's phone at that house, is what he's saying.
But he doesn't clarify that, so everybody's taking it as if that's
again.
What he's
this is the problem with how people are taking things in, which is why people were yelling at me. You on your channel, they misquoted what I said, put words in my mouth, and called me a liar. So,
but he's not.
All right, let's finish this clip. Let's finish this clip, and then we can debate, because there's only a couple of minutes left. Literally, there's 2 minutes left. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's finish it. I want to hear him say what he thinks about Ann Taylor's team, and then we'll be done.
That's a loaded question.
It sure is, but I'm asking it.
I think that there's plenty of ineffectiveness to go around on the defense side, prosecution side, and quite honestly, and I won't be very popular for saying this, on the judge side, I think there's critical errors that were made throughout this entire case where it's just this giant snowball that kept picking up speed as it went. One of the biggest things, and just to be clear, I got involved in this case because I did a peer review. The actual expert on the case ran into a problem, didn't know what to do, called me. I looked at it, thought I'd be done. Next thing I know, I kind of got sucked into this thing. Yeah. So it was never my intent to be involved in this case. And I'll say it time and time again. I told the defense probably at least 100 times. The best thing that happened for Brian Koberger is that we were never contacted to help provide assistance on this case. That's my job. Across the country, every day, across the world. If I feel very comfortable in saying, if myself or some other experts in this field around the United States were contacted early and brought into this investigation, we would not be having this conversation today.
Well, let me tell you something.
I don't want to interrupt.
No, please.
But that's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard other experts say the exact thing to me.
He's kissing up to the Gonzalez right here.
I'm here. I'm an expert, and they won't talk to me.
So let me
that lit a fire as me as a father, that I'm doing things like I'm doing right now.
And by the way, Steve, for anybody who doesn't know, you were the guys who orchestrated this. You said this is an important conversation to have. We want to talk to Cy-Ray about this. I'm so glad that we did, particularly now. We didn't know that Koberger was going to file this yesterday. So all of this happened at once. Cy-Ray, thank you for taking the time to answer these questions and explain it. Steve and Olivia, I said this to Steve last night. I've been thinking about you guys.
That's the biggest kiss.
Each other off in private, in my opinion.
He wants to work with them. Did you ever see Cy-Ray on national television? Did anybody ever hear of this guy before? He's known because
I'm telling you, I really think Cy-Ray is going to be caught up in that leak.
I'm thinking that
there's no way Cy-Ray leaked information. That's crazy.
I got people in chat here who are saying the same thing. If you're going to jump ship like this, you're capable of doing anything, as far as I'm concerned.
He didn't jump ship though. When has he ever said Brian Koberger was innocent?
He said that there's no way that Brian Koberger did this the way the state has put it out to be that way. Is what he said.
That's fair. Haven't we all been saying that the entire time?
Yeah, no, I agree with him on that point.
But here's the thing that I was pointing out earlier. He's completely changed his story completely upside down.
100%.
Okay, he came forward and he said, okay, here's a perfect example, and I pointed it out on the Custody Queen's interview. He said, Sam asked him, it was Sam, I believe. Okay, so Cy, tell me that, can you put Brian Koberger in the house? And he said, absolutely not.
On what day though? It all depends on what they need to ask better questions.
Well, no, the prosecution said they couldn't make a connection.
Okay, but here's the problem though. He did it vaguely on purpose, in my opinion, so he doesn't have to fucking explain that.
But we also have to go back and listen to the context of the conversation. The question was asked, because I guarantee you he didn't say historically he could never put Brian in the house. That night.
But why would he be talking about 6 months before when they're talking about?
Can I interrupt for a second here? Wait. He just told Olivia that he couldn't identify her on her couch in her apartment with her phone by cell tower.
Right.
By cell towers, correct.
So you mean to tell me if I turn off my phone, my GPS knows my locations? You mean to tell me in
No.
all the times that he previously had turned off his phone and drove in those areas that Cy could tell you where he was? Bullshit.
He didn't previously turn off his phone though, and get tracked. This is what these are all different situations. You have to
That
look at
makes
them
no
piece by
sense.
piece. It makes
No,
perfect
they
sense.
said that he did it on one previous occasion.
Okay.
The only reason why anybody's given this guy any time is
It's because he's after Koberger.
Unfortunately,
Bingo.
Mr. Koberger retained him. Nobody heard of this guy. This guy's a dime a dozen. You don't go out there and profess that you can give evaluations on how a judge does. Go out there and say how attorneys do. He's as arrogant as they come. And
That doesn't mean he's wrong.
To go out there and to attach yourself to this would be like, where's Nick Balance? Nick Balance, why don't you come over to the defense side and say that the prosecution was bullshit? I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's worse than that. It's worse than that because, listen, you can question this guy's professional integrity very simply. Once you knew that Mr. Koberger was in fact placeable in that home, why didn't you leave the defense and keep your mouth shut?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Because Brian's constitutional rights are being violated and he doesn't like it.
But he's not fighting for his constitutional rights. He's fighting to say he did it.
He's there. He's not here being
Today or when he was actually working on the case?
No, he's working for Koberger. And
Not,
the minute
not today. The case is over.
Sergeant Fry, but you know what? Does that mean if somebody, if you speak with an attorney that after the case is over, the attorney can come out and talk about you and disclose? No.
Is that the same situation? Well, it's not the same situation.
Okay,
I'm not saying that he should be out here talking about something like this. I'm just saying he's not, and none of them are expert witnesses on the case. Once that plea deal was signed, the case was over, correct?
Then why is he talking about any of it then?
Right. What's he jumping? What's he going over?
I can't answer why anybody else does anything. I don't know. I want people to come out and talk. I don't understand why this is such a big deal. We've all been saying there's secrecy there. We don't know stuff, and then people come out and tell us stuff, and we cry about it.
Okay, let me speak on something real quick because you're saying that he's talking about fucking previous 6 months before this happened. Nobody was talking about that though. They're talking about the night of, and he responds to that, and he doesn't say anything about the previous 6 months before.
Well, let me just say this too. Wait a minute, just so everybody be quiet for a minute. Twiz, you're getting all the attention because you were for so long telling us that Cy Ray could place him somewhere else. Now, Cy Ray, I'm not the only one that let me finish.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Dude, you said it on my show. You said Lewiston.
I never said Cy Ray said Brian was in Lewiston. Never.
You said he was south. You said he was south.
Correct.
During the time of the crime, you said he was south.
Nope.
What did
that's
you say?
Not what he said. Cy Ray told me Brian Koberger was far south of Moscow that night. Didn't say at the time of the crime. He didn't say Lewiston.
Oh, he's hiring him to tell show where he was at 6 a.m. Twiz, come on. Twiz, he hired him to help himself, not to come in here and be a professor of law and try to, teach constitutional law. This is horrible what he's doing here.
All right, so let me just
finish up with Twiz. I'm not taking an issue with that.
I got you. I'm sorry.
Your statement, as I'm sure it probably did for you too, because you were with the south of Moscow, right? That statement leads people to believe that Cy Ray is saying that Koberger was south of that house that night, right? That night would include the crime time.
He was south of Moscow that night.
Yeah, but both can't be true. He can't be south and at the house, okay?
Well, at what time? The times matter.
Then he needs to fucking verify that.
Yeah, but see, you never really were that stringent with that statement through all of this period of time.
Yes, I have been. I have been very clear. This is what pisses me off when people change my meanings and put words in my mouth. I'm very clear how I explain it. I don't do that accidentally. I do that for a reason. Dago, have you deleted episodes?
No, I just said I'm gonna pull the fucking episodes and go find it because I swear to God, I'm not trying to be a dick. Everybody knows me. I'm not like that. I swear to God, I heard you say Lewiston more than once.
I've said Lewiston. I have not said Cy Ray told me he was in Lewiston.
No, but you said he was south of Moscow.
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and that was that's a reasonable statement, but you didn't say he was south of Moscow, but nobody knows where he was during the time of the crime. You weren't saying that.
Okay.
You are now. You aren't listening.
No. You're still no. Listen.
No, now you're going to
Stop.
put words in your mouth, but you left words out.
I'm trying to explain it. Are you going to give me a chance?
Well, let me finish my sentence, right? So explain it.
If you go back and listen to the whole thing, I'm saying if the alibi is true and he went to Wowowi Park, he could be south of Moscow in Lewiston. I've also said we need the Lokesboard data because that's where the GPS data is.
And what's this like? Oh, he's up by the Snake River. What's he trying to say? Oh, now I know that he.
Where did that even fucking come
Where
from?
did that come from? Is he
I
trying
think-
to
In the cell records.
family and say now that's where the weapon is?
Well, I mean,
Then-
I think that's what he's trying to
That
allude
was a
to.
Then why
complete
did he
kiss-up.
never say it
That was a
before
complete
ever?
kiss-up to them. He wants business. This is what this is about. Nobody would know who this guy was if he wasn't on this case. I never heard of him before. Sergeant Friday, did you? Did anybody in chat ever
No.
learn this
He
guy?
never had the occasion to. Listen, I think the guy's capable of what he's doing, but what I think he's doing now is just completely unprofessional. He should be keeping his mouth shut. Is what he should be doing.
Yes.
And listen, if brought on a standby, this is how this should work. If Brian gets the relief and he goes back to trial, and all of this was never said by Cy Ray, when Koberger's team presents him as a witness, then in fact the prosecution has the opportunity to drag this additional data out of him. But by doing it this way, it's just inconceivably the most fucked up thing any professional could do.
Amen.
That's like telling a family
Thank you.
that the cancer patient that just died would have been better off getting surgery than chemo, and you tell them that only after they're fucking dead. Where was that advice while they were still sucking air? That's what this jerk off is doing. So that's my problem with the guy. I'm not arguing with his conclusions. I don't know what his conclusions are based on, but he makes it seem like he's the only one on earth, and only a few exclusive fucking people like me could show you where this kid was.
He's
And then
playing
he'll
both
tell you in the
sides of the
same
game.
sentence. Wait, Dago. He'll tell you in the same sentence he can't even locate that girl at home. He didn't say GPS. Well, your phone is a GPS. I would use that. He didn't say that at all. She said, "Can you locate me at my phone with my cell phone from cell
And what
tower?"
did he say?
No.
He said he said he'd need additional information, right?
Yeah.
Not with just the cell phone towers. What's the additional information?
Well, he could be a little bit more clear. I think what
One
he's
of
doing is
one
just-
of the additional informations would be the Lokesboard data and the GPS data. The other could be the timing data. It also kind of depends on which carrier they use.
This guy just basically sold his soul for money. Anybody who thinks he's not doing this because he wants money,
He's playing both
Out of
sides of the
mind.
game.
he did this for money. He threw his own. You think people are going to want to hire you if you're going to go then and then jump to the other side and do something like, look at this, the truth line, throw it out. You know, $100 you had. Get a, Dago, tell him you want a refund.
Send it to me. I'll use it for toilet paper on a daily
mean,
basis, one page at a time.
That's what he's doing. In my opinion, that's exactly what he's doing.
You want to hire somebody, and then they're going to come in. They're going to learn all your confidential information, and then they're going to go to the other side and sell you out because they're arrogant. They want business. He's out there. He's disparaging the judges. What the judges' rulings were. Who the hell did he go to law school?
Don't
know,
we
this is
all
like-
disparage what Hippler did?
Oh, I'd love Hippler to hear this.
I'm sure he's going to.
I'd
I'm
love
sure
Hippler
he's
to
going
hear this. You
to.
think Hippler's going to like this?
Well, I'm just
adding
pointing out, like,
circuit.
what are we supposed to say? Hitler sucks. I didn't go to law school. I think Hitler sucks.
Well, you're a member of the public. He's saying it with the attachment of he's the expertise and he has inside knowledge. And he's pissed off because Hippler called him a conspiracy theorist. And he's afraid to go back. I hope Hippler orders him to come back to Idaho.
That would
and
be
come into his
awesome.
court. Not like with this Zoom or whatever. Come back to the courtroom because he's afraid. He says he's afraid Hitler's going to arrest him. Come back into the courtroom, Ray, and tell Hitler to his face that he doesn't know what he's doing.
But Hitler didn't know what he was doing.
I think Hitler made a lot of good decisions.
I think, I don't know Cy Ray as a person or any of the people that are in this case, but their actions do speak louder than words. And I am not of the mind, like in my industry, I was brought to homes for my professional opinion about something that was installed, roofing. And after my examination, and I don't want to know who the roof company is. Well, guess what? The roof company was the company that was the guy that taught me how to sell the roof, the fucking first roof I ever sold. And the roof was fucked up, and that was my report. And I didn't let the knowledge of who did the job interfere with the honesty of what was in front of me.
Because
you know what I mean? In other words, that guy was. I even told him. I called him up directly. I said, "Listen, I just wrote a report on one of your jobs, and it's fucked." That's a professional way to handle things. You don't do what Cy Ray is doing. So my problem with him is not whether he's correct or he's right or wrong. It's that what he's doing. Is unprecedented, and
there's no fucking integrity.
I've never seen integrity before. Never. And you know what? I hope Kohberger. What is he licensed as? What does he do? What's this guy do?
Oh, Cy?
Yeah. What's he do? He's got to have a licensure from Nevada or somewhere, right?
Whatever
he's like a trial expert now or whatever.
Does he have a licensure to do anything, or he's just with his experience?
I don't know.
All right.
I think if anybody calls Cy Ray as a witness at this point, it's going to be a problem for
Well, they won't be defense, but he doesn't want to work for the defense anyway.
He has no integrity at this point, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Well, the thing about it is here, what he's done. The only reason why anybody knows this guy's name.
That's not true, though.
No, nobody knows. He was never on television like he was
in the public. He means was.
All right, maybe locally or whatever, but nationally, you got people over in England who know him.
Are you talking about just on the news networks?
He was never had the publicity that he had here.
You're not answering the question.
Tell me what other big cases did he work on? Big cases where people all over the world, millions upon millions of people, tuned in to watch his butt on the seat in Latah County and knew who he was right afterwards. Give me one other case. Was it the Colorado?
How many other cases are that even widespread?
The thing about it is what he's done here, he knew his client was Mr. Kohberger. That's who it was. And
did anybody come out from the O.J. Simpson trial? Did anybody on the defense come out and say he did it?
Never.
This has never happened before, Sarge. I've never seen this anywhere.
Johnny Cochran would come out and say, "Hey, my client said he didn't do it." Not that OJ did it, whatever he did, privately. But the thing about it is this guy is trying to get post-conviction relief. If he has a new trial, what this dude is doing here is going to poison the mind of a jury. And you know what, Kohberger has a due process right to an unbiased jury. Now that's going to be, whose problem that's going to be? That's going to be Judge Hippler's problem.
Cy Ray also said that most of that evidence should get tossed out if the courts did their job. Is that a problem?
Who's he to make evidentiary rulings? See, I think that's why Hippler went off on him, because he's saying, "Oh, this is exculpatory. That's this one."
He stepped way the fuck out of his lane. That's why.
Yeah, but he's not a judge. He's not a jury. He's an arrogant ex-cop who's got a little business on the side. That's all he is. He got lucky enough to attach himself to this case because nobody would give a crap about him. And the Gonzalez's would want nothing to do with him. They want him because he knows he was in.
Well, they were attacking Cy Ray initially.
I know, that's the funny thing too.
They did.
They were hating on Cy Ray for a while when he went up in the stand and he wrote what he wrote. They were going after this guy. You don't know what he's talking about. Blah blah blah. Right. Listen, I just question. I don't question his findings or his skills. I don't know them, but I do have a real problem with some. I mean, how can a defendant ever feel safe again when this expert comes out like that? At least the other experts came forward and said they don't know if he did it or not.
Snoopy,
right?
Look at what Snoopy.
And that should be his position. Should be. I don't know. My information's different than the prosecution's,
right?
And I don't know if that makes the difference. But he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. I mean, imagine a defendant in a murder case. Who are you going to call for an expert that you could trust now?
And now that he's getting ready to go on trial, Snoopy Red here is making a good point. He's saying, did you ever hear anybody from Andrea Yates' case afterwards come out and speak out against her? Did you ever hear about that? Who was that one in Florida? Casey Anthony ever come out and speak against? And they were done at that point. They were done. Here, he's trying to go back to trial, and he's got a member of his team who's going or out attaching himself to the victims because he wants so bad for the prosecution to hire him. That's what he wants. He sold his soul. This is I don't care about how good or how good he is, whatever. This would be like Nick Balance coming over to Cobra. Oh, the prosecution, let me tell you what they did. They're wrong. You don't do that. You don't. It's just he crossed the line. He's a major line crosser. This is unacceptable.
Where did it go? I'm trying to find. I just posted something in the chat. I try to highlight it, but the chat's flying. I can't keep up with even what I say in the chat.
we got people.
What the hell is going on here?
Have one of your mods slow it down, Sarge.
So you don't think that Cyre is correct when he says all the cell data they used in the probable cause affidavit to arrest Brian Kohberger is complete bullshit, which means they violated Brian Kohberger's rights and they should get tossed out? He shouldn't say that?
No, right now I question anything he has to say. His ethics are in the toilet.
I think
He'll
everybody
say whatever he
understands
needs
that
to
he's
do to
called out
advance
the state's
himself.
case. Yes, we get that he called out the state's case. Everybody in here knows the state's case is a fucking joke. The problem is his own testimony to the fact that the state's case is a joke is what he's turning flipping over on.
Not even that. Let's just say this. If this guy does get his right to appeal affirmed, right? Now he's poisoning the public just like they've done for the whole 3.5 years. This piece of shit's his defense expert. He probably would never be allowed as a witness for either side now. But he poisoned the jury pool in a massive way. The headlines are Kohberger's own defense experts claims he's guilty and can prove it. This guy is a jerk off of all jerk offs for doing what he just did. He just shouldn't have done it.
This might work out in Kohberger's favor in the long run because he's going over to the other side. Kohberger's attorney, if she's smart or he's smart, is going to say, Judge, we can't seek an unbiased trial. We got this rogue guy running around. My client's entitled to due process. This is worse than anything else that ever happened because everything else in Latah County, they talked about people believing Bill Thompson because he's an authority figure and what that has to do, or television, or this. This is a defense expert. This was going to be part of his alibi defense. That's what I would do. I'd say, Judge, this is irretrievably broken. Yeah, you need to throw out this case and let my client go free.
If the judge cared, he would be free anyways because they clearly violated her rights when they arrested him and after. All of that evidence should get tossed out.
Is fruit from the poison tree.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't care about Brian's constitutional rights, clearly.
Yeah, I think Twiz is, it's going to be a problem now in terms of seating a jury because now they're going to have to, okay, did you hear Cy Ray? Did you hear him on custody?
Did Turvey make a response? Wait, has anybody known that Turvey spoke up since Cy Ray came public? What is he asking?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
What did Turvey say?
He didn't say anything about Cy, but he said about Brian. His statement had something to do with the fact that he believes that Ann Taylor and the entire defense team need to be put on a stand and basically shredded. He hasn't spoke out on Cy Ray yet, but I'm waiting to see if he will. But he did point out that the defense team needs to be put on the stand, like I said. So, and they need to be answering questions about everything. So,
Dago, I want to ask you this question.
Yes. Somebody find that quote from Turvey if you can. Thank you. Go ahead.
I have it.
All right. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question relative to Turvey, Cy Ray, whatnot. Do you recall when Turvey went out? Who did he do the interview with? The custody queens? He did the interview with custody queens?
Yeah.
Within 24 hours, the defense, Ann Taylor, who has said nothing. The only time she spoke was when she went out with Massoff and they did that presentation. To be big shots with the defense bar, whatever it was. Remember about a few months back?
Yeah, right.
But the thing about it is, she ripped Turvey another. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right away. And Turvey never said. He said, Turvey's not going to say. Chris Wickham didn't say. They know that's up to the jury to decide guilt or innocence. It's not up. to anyone, especially an expert, to say that you give your expert opinion, and if you cannot support the defense, you don't be on that team. You quit. You get out of it. But the thing about it here is, where is Ann Taylor's ripping of Cy Ray, who has gone out now, not only going out on custody queens and said he's guilty, but has gone over to the Gonzalez family.
I agree, Richard.
Said he's, where's her letter?
She attacked Turby for stepping out of his lane. You are absolutely right, and he didn't even step out of his lane. Saya's all over the fucking place, out of his lane, and she hasn't said a word. Why is that? And when? And
how much information did she share with him? He was a CSLI expert.
Great question. How did he get all this info?
Then all of a sudden he's an alibi expert too. You don't see any other expert witness. You had people that did, like Becca Barlow, when she was an expert, she did expert in DNA. She's not going in to become his alibi or talking about CSLI or if Judge Hippler's making the right decisions or if what's exculpatory or not. She's staying in her own lane. I'm wondering how much of this case did she allow this guy to see that had nothing to do with CSLI? And how much now is he out there? You think he's not telling the Gonzalez family everything they want to know?
Oh, I'm sure they're on the phone daily now.
Conversations maybe that he had with Ann Taylor, conversations he might have had with, who knows if he met with Koberger or not. I wouldn't have put it past him to go. You heard Turby. Turby said, nope, I can't meet him. I just can't. I know exactly why. Because he can't be influenced.
I'm really struggling with all this argument for discovery and all this lack of documentation that wasn't provided and that the state was allowed to say didn't exist. Yet he's making these conclusions.
What conclusion?
That he could place Koberger at different places at different times.
That he's guilty, insinuating
and that he's guilty, and that and so look.
Well, you just said claims that weren't relevant to your previous sentence. That's what I asked, but go on.
He's contradicting everything he says. Okay, he'll make a statement about, like I said, can you put Brian Koberger inside the house? Absolutely not. That he makes this statement today. He's doing that throughout this whole thing. Nothing he just said tonight.
The dates and the times matter, though. When he says he can't place him in the house, he's talking about that night, the time of the crime.
And
there's no evidence that placed Brian near the house at the time of the crime, correct?
As a fucking professional, then he needs to say, I cannot place Brian in the house that night, but I can in the previous 6 months. That is how you do. You don't. He's so fucking vague. Nobody was asking about the previous 6 months.
Well, the questions that were asked to him were terrible too.
I mean, I have no control over that.
Well, we don't have control over a lot of things.
He should have kept his mouth shut. I can't comment.
I don't think that there's anybody in the professional field that's going to want this guy to work for him.
Never.
I bet you lots of states call him.
Oh yeah, so that he can jump ship on them as well.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't think he jumped ship.
He absolutely.
He's even arguing. Look at when they claimed that Brian Koberger wasn't near the house the following morning. He's claiming he was.
Well, that's because they didn't have any evidence of him being at the house the next day. But he's saying that if they looked at his
twist, the state never downloaded GPS records.
It's not a downloadable thing from the phone. This is my whole point. If people understood the technology, it's part of the cell data. It is an AT&T proprietary thing. That's the Lochtbor file. It contains GPS data.
Yeah.
The state didn't use Lochtbor file. I don't think that the FBI would use it. They use the timing data. Two different ways of seeing how far a phone is.
Wait, that makes little sense. It makes little sense that you would look for the phone data, but you can't locate them. But then you don't think to yourself, as a professional in fucking technology, to go look for a GPS record?
Can you explain? Because most of the community has no idea what you're talking about. Can you explain?
Yeah, I know they don't. I've said it multiple times. They don't understand the evidence. They don't understand the technology.
No, I said what the Lochtbor is because nobody knows what the hell you're saying. Can you explain what that is?
It is an AT&T proprietary thing. It uses GPS to tell where the device is, right? But it's not okay. You have the regular CDR, the call detail record, that gives you lists of towers the phone connects to. This gives you the GPS location of the phone. It's a complete different data set. It is AT&T only.
And they had that back then.
Correct.
Then why was it not used by anybody?
Ask the state. That's what Cy's asking. He says if you looked at the data, you could find this stuff that he's finding. They don't have that data. They didn't use it. That's the state's fault.
And again, I have no idea what that has anything to do with. I've
No,
never
How do you
until
spell
tonight
that?
heard
How do
about
you
it.
spell that?
Jago. Here's what he should have said. If someone tell me what you think, what's your opinion on Mr. Koberger's guilt or innocence? I can't divulge that. He's my client. I was hired by him, and I can't divulge it. I'm sorry.
I agree.
He should have shut his mouth.
I fully agree.
I
How
hope
do you spell this
Koberger
low car?
sues him. I hope if he's whatever license he has, if an attorney did this, they would file a complaint with the bar. Whatever.
Twiz. How do you spell Twiz? Hang on, Kate. How do you spell low car?
LOCDBOR.
Location formerly known as Nellis that provides estimated latitude, longitude, and precision mapping data derived from cellular network signals.
Yep.
Oh, the chat's hilarious. I need crank.
So
Twiz is a liar. I've literally said I've been waiting for the look for data for 2 years. Yeah, call me a liar.
So the FBI never thought, being that there or Homeland Security, anybody that was involved in this never thought to use any of this stuff.
Here's
to bring this
the
to
thing, though.
table.
Look at. Let
They
me,
needed
folks.
Ray to figure this out.
Folks,
No,
it says
didn't.
the accuracy of this, the accuracy provides estimated ranges and coordinates managed internally by the carrier network rather than direct standalone GPS hardware logs. Okay, so even that can't place you in that girl's seat, that young woman that was on TV tonight.
Right.
Okay, did you listen when he was talking about the route after 448? He said they have GPS locations with like a 15-meter accuracy. That's how all GPS works. They don't give you pinpoint things. But he
Well,
also has to be on the road.
But my GPS doesn't tell me the road is 45 feet further away than it tells me to turn.
Sometimes it does. Depends on how
No, it
accurate it
doesn't.
is.
It doesn't.
Okay, well, I've seen it happen on GPS.
Well, all right. So even that can't give you specific information as to the exact location. He could have been at the Whites buying drugs.
Okay, that's true, right? But it's not just one data set. What he is saying is that there are different times when the victims' locations are the same with Brian's. There's one including in Pullman, is what he said.
Hey, Cy
If-
Ray, what time did Ethan and Xana walk into 1122 for the last time? You know, for some reason we're not able to know that. That would be a helpful point for him to give, rather than
I think he said he didn't remember, but why is that relevant?
because. Or what time did the victims walk into the house? Why is that relevant? It's everything.
It's before they got murdered in the house.
I mean, if he wants to help actually like prove the case, that is relevant, I think.
Yeah, I could place Xana inside the house at.
Well, I'm not saying that the data doesn't exist. I'm saying that Cy was asked that in the custody queens, and he said he didn't recall or something. I don't remember his exact wording. He just didn't remember.
Conveniently,
Because
I know.
It might F up the timeline. It might be. What if the last time that they walked in was 2:00? It is a dark hour, and that's when the crimes happened. For some reason, what I don't understand.
They have a pretty good understanding of when the crimes happened, though.
I've
been told.
I've
been told that Xana had an Apple Watch on, and it shows the exact time her heart stopped beating.
No,
Yeah, but there's no proof that she did. I mean, someone telling us that without showing us anything to support that is just another rumor.
Why isn't
Well,
that in
right,
the
we
document?
we don't have it. We don't have the data, but if that's true, then they kind of know when the murders happened, correct? That's my point.
Well, doesn't he have 6 months worth of victims' CSLI information?
He might have more than that. I don't know.
Okay.
I know they got it from Brian when he arrived in Pullman.
He indicated two things here. Wait. I think that Chip Taylor, look, again, I go to the point that I can't say whether Koberger did it or not. I'm not going to argue he's innocent. I'm not going to argue he's guilty. However, the whole case has just been burdensome through lies, deceit, half truths, no truths.
People
And there's no part of this case that's nothing but the truth. It's
people
it's a
out
mess.
for themselves to be able to get publicity,
That's
selling
your
books.
assumption, which is fine, but just understand you're assuming that. Talk
I'm
to the man
assuming.
before you say that.
His book that he put out, what do you charge? $10?
The book is $100.
It's
$100.
for training of law enforcement. Is that an abnormal price for what it is?
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
But is it abnormal for law enforcement training material?
It's a lot of money.
You're not answering the question.
Yes, it's abnormal. I just said it's a lot of money. It's abnormal. And
Well,
nobody.
it isn't for an educational book. It's not an abnormal price.
It's exactly a normal price for an educational thing, which taxpayers pay for anyway.
Right. Well, still, it still doesn't remove what we see being done. Is that crime has all been condensed to what they believe to be the movement of a vehicle. And the funny thing is even Dylan's testimony, the information that they released to the public was framed to show a time. But the evidence that they used is false. The footprint is irrelevant. It belonged to a person that lived in the house that had that shoe. It had nothing to do with the crime. Then you have, so when she says in black and all these other stories, you see her being coached. Everything was made to fit what they thought, whether they were right or wrong. Even if Brian is the murderer, their problem is that they lied to put him in jail.
Exactly.
And this guy isn't doing, he's actually supporting that particular point of view, which I said in his first interview. I didn't get real upset with Cy. I don't like my personal opinion on what he's doing now. And even where he's been saying it from the first interview that he's guilty. And if you looked at my stuff, you could see it. It's like, okay, well, shut the fuck up, dude. It's not your job to be telling the public this stuff. It wasn't brought in the trial. It's up for the prosecution to discover this evidence, right? And if you wanted to be a good guy that was concerned with justice, you would have snuck that information over to the prosecution and kept your mouth out of it.
Well, maybe
I think that's one of the things that he's so mad about, because he's telling the state their issues. You could go back and fix this, and they refused to. They could go back and get that cell data anytime that they want. I hate to tell you, but the feds don't delete shit. So his timing advanced records are in a database somewhere. They could go get that any day that they want.
I
agree.
Don't. And the fact that Turvey said, not Turvey, but I think that's what Cy was saying in his first interview. Turvey, and he pointed out their warrant was wrong, and they didn't go back and correct it.
The state's never going to admit that they're wrong.
I think Wickham said that.
Never. No. The state's never going to admit they're wrong. The state's
but you can apply for a warrant to go arrest Dago and have mistakes in that warrant, and then go back and correct the warrant even after you've issued it.
Right.
And they didn't do that. Now, I think it was Wickham that pointed that out.
Well, I think Cy also proved it to the state and to the judges that arrest warrant was bullshit. It was faulty. It violated Brian's rights, and they didn't care.
What's he now?
I think you can do that, Richard.
Constitutional professor. It's not his job. His job is to get up there and to testify about CSLI and shut his mouth. Not to go up there and say, "Oh, his violation of his constitutional rights is," the judge. I can't wait until he goes into that courtroom.
And why didn't he come out after the plea deal? Wait. Why didn't he come out after the plea deal to make all of these statements? See, there's just a lot of curiosity with his lack of professional judgment in this point. It just rubs me wrong.
Exactly.
Doesn't that just make him a whistleblower, that the courts are violating people's rights and they don't care?
Not a whistleblower. No, he's not a whistleblower. You don't do
Kathy,
it like
you are filled with hate.
I'm filled with hate. That's not what a whistleblower is. A whistleblower. Now I understand that you're a Cy fan. I get it. But a whistleblower works on the inside of an organization, not the outside and turns coats. All right. I don't, you can be a Cy fan, Twiz. I'm really surprised because you did tell me that Cy was going to help Ryan, so I don't know.
Well, at the time, that's what I thought. But when presented with new information, I kind of, changed my opinion. It's a weird thing.
No. Well, there's also cop groupies out there.
Oh, Kathy, are you going to accuse me of loving cops?
Don't ever say I'm filled with hate. Okay, because you're a cop groupie is what you're showing me tonight.
Yeah, let's not get into anything personal like that.
No, he just did. I
know, but I also want to say that somebody, Twiz, if anybody led me to believe, intentionally or unintentionally, that Koberger's data showed him away from that home, it was in conversations with you. and I'll accept that maybe I interpreted things you weren't saying.
I also
But
said
I don't
it's
think
possible.
I don't think you ever corrected me.
Sergeant Friday, I appreciate this, but I can't, deal with this nonsense anymore. I'd love to be on another time, but he's not making any sense. He's got no credentials, and he's out here and he's championing Cy-Ray, and that's up to him. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
Kathy.
night.
Good night, Kathy.
Well, that sucked. That was my star attraction to the show, Twiz. Oh, he disconnected too. All right. Well, Kathy, come back in. What happened, Dago? We got, what do they call that? Rage quitting or something? What the hell's wrong with this?
People.
When people leave, it kicks me out.
Oh, all right.
It's a
It's
StreamYard
a
issue.
StreamYard thing. That's why I'm like, why are people paying more money for StreamYard when there's more problems today?
I don't have any problems with StreamYard. I never really did. It's always because I'm not really
It's
this
a
giant
new
creative
thing. It's been
I'm
happening
not
left and right.
Pavarotti and all these other people with videos and all of this other shit they do. I'm not here to entertain. I just want to have discussions and people be able to state their opinions on what they're hearing and stay within the guardrails of the case. And right. So Cy-Ray is telling us a whole different litany of information that none of us were exposed to until now. And if true, that makes Brian Kohlberger the killer. And look, I've always said, I hope this case gets dismissed and this kid is the killer. I said that first on Dago's show, and I think he lost fucking listeners for me saying that. But I've always said that because the cops are a bunch of jerk-offs. They probably can't even jerk themselves off properly. That's why you probably go to these sex stores. They got tools to do it nowadays.
Is Lucy in chat?
Lucy?
Yeah.
I don't know. Lucy who? Oh.
Morning, sir.
What's her name? Oh no, I thought I got something made me think you two might be boycotting my show because I let people come in here you don't like. Because I had a show last night, neither one of you showed up. I thought
I didn't know that you were live last night.
I didn't see your show
Yeah.
either last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't make any sense because I was there the night before after I told you about him.
Yeah. No, there's look at it until the people in the chat start causing grief, then I'm not, that's, and now you guys know I'll boot somebody fucking faster than you could hit the boot button.
I just don't understand how you don't know that he causes problem everywhere that he goes.
I've never had a problem with the person that I'm aware of. Maybe it's a different name. I just never had a problem.
Who?
With
Mark and Betty.
Oh, he
don't
does.
mention names. Don't start that shit like that. And then Dago, you pointed someone else to me. I've never had a problem with the person. And so that's
People have different issues in different places. That's all.
Right. If they don't come in here and give any issues, then I'm not gonna keep from coming in. And again, I don't do it for any money. I do it for my own thinking. If I hear something said, I can then mash it around in my brain. I disagree with what Cy did on a professional level. If he can prove Brian Kohlberger did it, so be it. If that evidence is something that can be used and put this kid in jail beyond a reasonable doubt, then use it if it's allowed. I mean, what else can you say, right?
I mean, that's fair. He also should get out because his constitutional rights were violated left and right.
Right. I think the whole case, I think all the evidence used the first time around should be disbanded the second time around. And if you want to just come up with phone cell movements, it still doesn't put him in the house. I don't think there's any data point that's going to put him in the house on the night of the murder. And that's it. Then you could put him in the house every day before then, like you could all the friends and all the frats and all the boyfriends and you could put thousands of people in that house at all kinds of different times, repetitively. That doesn't mean they killed him, right? So that becomes an unusable argument.
Yeah, but there's more to the story than just his cell phone.
There may be. He may have come in contact with him at a Walmart. He may have come in contact with him at some.
No, I'm saying that night of the murders. It's not that they can't place him at the house during the time of the murders. His DNA was left on the sheath in the murder house, right? A sheath that could match the murder weapon. His DNA, right? His phone pings like pretty close to the house at 4:48. His phone is pretty close to the house in Moscow. It's closer to the house than the
28
state.
minutes after the crime. 28 minutes after the crime. Listen,
that doesn't explain how his DNA was there.
Let me finish. 28 minutes later, at a distance that would only take less than 11 minutes to get to, the car flew out of the neighborhood, as they claim, right? And drove out of there like a bat out of hell on their video. Yet it took him 28 minutes to make an 11-minute drive. It's nonsensical.
He
the cars aren't the
stopped.
same.
Maybe he stopped.
then show it on a camera. Show evidence. This
they
maybe coulda,
can't
woulda,
show
shoulda
it.
is not evidence.
They can't show it. There is no evidence of it.
Okay, that's what I mean. And then the DNA should be disqualified because of the chain of custody on the sheath.
Well, are we talking about admissibility or did he do it? Maybe. Because those are two different things.
What I'm saying is it's not relevant to me whether an individual commits a crime or not. What matters to me as an American citizen that loves this country is that people are put where they belong because the rules were followed by the rule keepers, not the
Sure.
rule breakers. Rule breakers break rules. That's why you pass a gun law. It's not going to keep a criminal from getting a gun. It's not the rule keepers or the rule followers that should be regulated. We're free. If you break the rule, then there's rules we must follow to ensure you that you're put away properly, right?
Correct.
And according to Cy Ray, that was available to the prosecution, and they ignored it.
Yep.
Right. Therefore, this kid should
And
be
they
released.
falsified evidence.
Yes.
All
So
that all that shit from 247 or before 247, that car that they're tracing isn't him. They knew it the whole time. It's all bullshit.
right. I think, but I think Cy Ray really, he crossed a boundary by doing what he's doing. If he was hired and entrusted to work with the defense, it's not for him to come forward and say that this kid's the killer. That's just egregious beyond understanding.
It's an integrity issue.
He should be sued for millions for doing that.
How is he going to get sued for it?
Because he was brought into the confidence. Look, that's like, I'll give you an example. If you come work for me and I've got private proprietary product, right? And you work for me and then decide, and then I decide that I'm going to do something else with this product. And then you leave and then you go out and tell people about my product. I'm sorry, you can't do that to us.
That's a different situation though.
It's different, but it's comparable. This guy
I
had
mean,
an agreement with the defense. No, he had an agreement with the defense to look at the state's evidence and say where it's wrong. And then for him to come and determine that it's wrong, but if they did it the way I would have done it, then this kid would have been prosecuted properly. It's like, shut the fuck up, dude. It's not for him.
But he's talking about public information. It's not proprietary.
But look at it again. It goes all back to trust in your government. It goes back.
No,
to
look, we're talking
systems,
like two
right?
different things. We're talking.
I don't know, man. I don't know that what Cy Ray's doing is, there's nothing I think that anybody can argue what he did tonight and what he did the other day was okay. I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's a fair opinion.
Right. And I think if
I
he's
wouldn't
right,
stop him. I think the more information we have about this case and how things worked behind closed doors, the better, because it was clearly fucked up. I don't know why we want to stop him from talking.
Well, I don't know. He didn't have anything nice to say about any of the attorneys in this, which I agree with. I agree from both points of view. There's a lot that I agree with the guy on. I disagree with his moral compass.
I mean, that's fine.
Because let me just tell you why. Let me even go further and deeper into that here. Even if you know I killed somebody and you're my defense attorney, and even if your defense, especially if your defense is successful, you chose to be who you are and what you do. And you now have to go to your grave knowing that you freed a murderer. And that's just it. Otherwise, don't be a lawyer. Otherwise, don't be an expert. You can't have it both ways. Your moral compass is not part of this process. That's not it. The doctor's moral compass, if he all of a sudden decides you're a Jew and he doesn't like Jews, he's supposed to not fucking fix your heart. These things are not negotiable. And when you're in the justice system, I'm sorry. Your knowledge, your evidence that would put this kid in jail is something you need to take to your fucking grave. Shut your mouth. And that's one of the downsides. Thankfully, it probably won't happen that often in a lawyer's career or an expert's career. However, if and when it does, that's the test of your true moral integrity. And this guy has none by doing what he's doing. And really, you got to worry about other defendants that get charged with crimes that they themselves personally may know they didn't do. How can you trust an expert? I don't know, man. The whole justice system, because of jerk-offs like this, is all fucked up. This guy thinks he's above everybody else. If me and just a few other people looked at it, the state would have prosecuted him. I mean, take your fucking ego and your moral superiority and just stick that shit up your ass. Go sit down and shut the fuck up, Cy Ray.
Should he not talk about how Brian's rights were violated? Where's the line here?
Listen, because He should say, look at it. Maybe say nothing then.
That's what
Maybe
I'm
say
asking.
nothing. It's not your job to say anything. You were there for cell phone records. That's it. That's it. You're not a lawyer. You're an expert here for one task.
Right.
Nothing
Speak
else.
on why you're here and leave everything else alone.
Right. And if you come across information that would be detrimental to the defense that hired you, you keep your mouth shut. And if the prosecution did something to hurt the defense and it's through the course of your duties, share it. That's your job. Even if you know sharing it will get this murderer acquitted. That's your fucking job. It's not your job to pick innocence or guilt. It's your job to provide the defense with the data it needs to knock down the prosecution's accusations. And Cy Ray obviously could do that. But then to take the next step and say, well, my information would prove a case. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, it's just like the same. If Turdy would have came out here and said, nope, Brian was there because I read the cast info and I know it just says it's this. No, that's not your wheelhouse. Get the fuck out and leave it alone. Speak on your piece and leave. Nobody else should do that. That's a huge problem and it needs to stop. And that's what's so fucked up about this case. Too many people stepping on other people's toes. Too much fucking misinformation being put out. It's just a mess. A fucking mess.
I think they've helped us in understanding a little bit more about what went on. And I don't think Brian that he would come and go do a talk show and argue that Brian Koberger is guilty. I don't think he would do that. Now, if in fact Brian is found guilty, he may come out and voice his opinion. I knew that based on stuff I had seen, and it was used at court, and the right conclusion was met. Yeah. That's what I mean. Where was Cy Ray after the kid took a plea deal with this data? Instead, he sits back. And why did he sit back? I think he knew that if the kid was going to appeal, and that would be, he'd keep it to himself until just
he
the
waited.
right moment that he could
He
come
waited
forward
until that.
Yeah.
He waited until that came forth, and then boom, the next day here it is.
The custody queen's interview was well before Brian filed.
No. I'm talking about the interview he did today, where he pointed out the whole I can place Brian in the house and I can place him on the property, things like that were not in the report, that were not stated before, did not come out until after this post conviction was filed.
Did I not send you a message in Discord saying that Cy Ray during custody queen said there's a connection with him and the victims? There's a Discord message that you have that I sent telling you Cy said that.
I just said
here, Drago.
I know. I'm just saying.
We have a new person here. What's up, Drago?
Hey, how you doing?
Awesome. Couldn't be better to be me.
Yeah. I've been following you since the political days, so I'm a long time viewer.
Lucky you. What did you want to add? Do you want a question or add anything? What do you think about what Cy Ray is out doing?
Oh yeah, it's it's ego driven, possibly money driven. It's abhorrent to the sanctity of the courts. It's completely disgusting and inappropriate. It's not how you conduct yourself. I can understand a one-off, such as some sort of whistleblowing, but the way you don't work for the defense and then turn on them and then take things and put them into the public sphere, right? You're not supposed to, the court of public opinion is exactly what the entire process is supposed to avoid in the first place. He's turned it into a circus, right?
Yep.
It's just totally, nobody does this. You don't see this because,
Has there ever been a case of that's this fucked up though?
I've never heard of it, and I've seen a lot of cases. I've never seen an expert witness of this sort.
But have you ever seen another case that's this fucked up?
I mean,
yeah, the OJ case was as fucked up as this.
A lot of
The Allen case is fucked up. The Karen Reed case is fucked up. I mean,
Delphi.
The Delphi case is fucked up. There's a lot of cases that are fucked up, but I don't think there's ever been a case where an expert for either side came out and started to say that they had it wrong. When has somebody ever came out as an expert for the prosecution and said they put the wrong person in jail? When has that ever happened?
Oh, that's happened.
And not even with, definitive concrete proof, right? I mean, you're all here arguing about it, right? I mean,
I don't know whether there's another case. I mean, maybe they did it as a whistleblower or they were called as a witness later or something, maybe in an appeal. But where is there an expert for a prosecution getting up on TV that worked on John Doe's case that went to jail, arguing John Doe should have never went to jail, and they could prove it?
Nothing
I know of.
I've seen stories where prosecutors themselves do that.
Maybe in a movie.
No, real case, buddy. Real case.
I mean, I can totally understand, long after the fact, a prosecutor talking about old cases, and they prosecute people that they don't always think did it. It's not always their call. They have bosses. They answer to people. A prosecutor may think that this kid absolutely didn't do it, but he's being told he has to prosecute them. So, coming for a prosecutor, it I'm sure it happens, but it's not, controversial enough to be a massive news story.
Well, the thing, this case is different because it would have been a massive news story anyway. Like, the case has been a massive news story. It's really hard to compare this case to anything else because you don't have many cases that get this much publicity and this much secrecy. We've been waiting on data for over a year since the case was over.
But, the problem that I'm seeing here, right, is there's all this talk about, whether there's enough evidence to show that he's guilty, right? And once you've pled guilty, the roles are reversed, right? It's not really incumbent upon the government or the state to make that case anymore, right? It's just not there. So, somebody coming out with their opinion and interpretation on if there's enough evidence, what are you doing? It's neither here nor there. It's too late. He's going through this, he pled guilty. He said he did it and did it of his own free will. Whether, people plead guilty to things they didn't do every day, but that's how the system works. And he's now on an appeal, and the not even a post-conviction appeal, not a traditional appeal. He gave up the regular appeal rights, and the bar that he has to clear is very, very high. It's no longer a standard of beyond a reasonable doubt if he committed this crime. He has two outs, which is he has to definitively show that he couldn't have committed it, which is very different than saying, is there enough evidence, right? I know people are going to be curious about, whether he actually did it or not. You can discuss that all day. But, legally, that's not where it is anymore. So this guy coming out with his opinion on, if there's enough evidence or not, it doesn't even do anything. I mean, the guy has an ineffective assistance of counsel argument. That's what he was primarily arguing in his appeal. And that standard, like, he has to prove it. He has to, prove that his lawyers, set him up and lied to him and all that stuff. It's not going to go anywhere. So that, I don't even know where this Psy guy is going with any of it. It's far beyond, it's too late in the process. This guy is, he has to show that he didn't do it at this point.
Well, no, not in the post-conviction relief. He doesn't, and I don't think that if this goes to a retrial.
Well, it's not getting there.
I think in a retrial you're going to have to go back over the evidence that the state is going to use against you, right? So you would have new
absolutely.
Attorneys are going to review the same evidence that Ann Taylor had, and they're going to make motions to contest that evidence in ways Ann didn't.
Well, did you read the appeal? Because from what I can tell, it's not going to reach there.
He got appointed an attorney today, so I'm
That was
sure
written
they will file
today.
something else.
Well,
That
that's,
was
that's
written today
great.
saying
But
that was wait, that's an intent to appeal. That's not the whole thing. That's a basic form that you fill out, and normally it is done pro se from prison, and you
Mhm.
send it in with your intent for post-conviction relief that you intend to do this. So
It'll be
then
filed
he had
after his
lawyers.
attorney.
He had
Yeah.
lawyers appointed today, and then you'll get a more clear understanding of what he's claiming when this lawyer files. So it's more than just what is it. Hopefully, it's more. If it's not, it's not. It is what it is.
He has to be approved for an appeal after or not an
Right.
appeal, but the
There-
PCR has to be
Granted.
granted. There you go. Sorry.
yeah, if,
Yeah.
if there isn't any more than what he's already indicated, I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. I can
Well, if you
guarantee
can
you
show
that.
his lawyer lied to him, that's coercion.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Well, check
Right?
check this for coercion. I was told that he was told that they were going to expedite his execution if he was found
that's what he's
guilty.
talking about. There's a lot of stuff that they lied to him about to force him into the plea.
Well, I'll
they
tell you
told-
what the defenders do all the time is they always advise their clients to take a plea to a lesser charge because you're most likely going to lose this case.
Yep.
That's
Right.
coercion. That's
And if he
coercion.
doesn't,
That's-
if
that's-
Hippler doesn't grant this, they're going to appeal it to a higher court. Is exactly what they said already. That's how it's going to
I mean,
work.
that's if I were, and I've done this, I've fired 3 lawyers on one case. The minute they open their mouth that way, I get rid of them. Don't tell me that. You're not going to get me to plead guilty because you think that we can't win. Then go. You got to go.
It's really sad too because it should go to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, about his rights being violated, and he can't do that through post-conviction relief.
I hope Hippler denies it so he takes it to the Supreme Court. Because
No, he
that's the
can't.
only
That's
way
what
it's
I'm
gonna
saying.
happen.
He can't through post-conviction relief. He can't do it.
No, but there's another right to appeal that would go
That's
against
what I
this
mean.
opinion.
That's what
You
I
would-
mean.
you
Yeah.
would then you would then appeal the opinion of Judge Hippler, not applying for post-conviction relief, but in fact applying the decision of the court.
And that's what I'm
So that's-
saying is
that
I don't
process
see
continuous. Yeah.
the way that Hippler was during this last bullshit. I truly think I think Hitler's going to approve this all the way down the line, so he has control of this still because he's already in it. And if he
Yeah.
if he denies it, they will jump up. Okay, it's obvious. So and he knows that. So I feel like he's going to approve this just so he can have that control. That's my
Well,
opinion, of
if
course.
Brian
but-
goes to trial and lose, then he can appeal it to the Supreme Court. So he was better off going to trial in many different ways than taking that plea agreement.
We all agree on that.
Of
Yeah.
course.
I think more importantly that if you were guilty, would have been the best thing for you to do is take this to trial because there was no evidence to support your guilt other than DNA on a knife sheet that's questionable, not just a process to identify.
There's more than that.
Wait, a process not used on any other DNA on the property connected to the crime and a custody that's just insane. There's no chain of custody for the movement of that evidence. So
Yeah,
Well, that
I
should have
don't
got
think
the
he
sheets
could've lost.
thrown out. That has nothing to do with it. The sheets should have been thrown out.
it should have been thrown out. And at that point, there's no case left.
Right.
I can
Don't
only
fucking-
I can only view it as he was trying to avoid the death penalty, and then wanted to
he was cornered
make his
into it.
case. After.
They scared
And
him into this.
That's not. I mean, that's what he says, and I'm sure
If you look at the way things were going, if that went up to a point, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, boom, they go into plea talks, and he states it in his statement that there's things within the plea talks that need to be put out to the world, that need to be discussed. That there was big problems within those plea talks, and his parents were there for that, so on and so forth. So I gotta wonder. I know that's what he's saying, but I have no doubt that he was. I mean, none of us understood it. Nobody here understood how that happened because of what we were all talking about. So at that point, I gotta believe it. I gotta believe it. Him saying that these things happen, so on and so forth. I fully believe it, to be honest with you, because we heard about that before. That there were threats that were made about certain things. That there was a fabricated statement made by the defense team that they went and did a tour of death row, came back and said, "You don't want this shit. It's an 8x8 cell, blah blah blah." It would
Was
be your
that
best bet.
fabricated? Because he wrote about that.
That's what he said that they fabricated a fabricated story that they told him is what I mean.
Oh,
This
okay.
person, Kate, resembles slightly Sam from the Custody Queens.
She does look a lot like her. I agree.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm reading here. His attorneys promised he would get certain privileges,
Right.
contact,
Employment.
visitation, basically. He's saying that they lied to him about the conditions that he would be entering into, and he's saying that his plea was contingent on representation from his lawyers that weren't true, and that's that's a difficult hurdle to, even if that happened, right? That's the bar isn't maybe that could have happened. The bar is, do you have a transcript? Do you have a recording? Do you have the lawyers admitting to that? You need more.
What about that document dump that came in days before the trial was scheduled?
It's going to be in the plea deal.
Right.
It has to be.
What
in the
about
plea
the
agreement.
statement made by his own attorney that she can't comprehensively defend her client because she needs more time and the court denied it? And then a document dump comes in, right?
Well,
now wait a minute. The problem, Drago, is did she go through that? Did she comb through it and present the information that she was given to her client before her client pled guilty?
Well,
or did she skim through it and just mention there's more info, but it's not relevant? We don't
All
know
he
what
needs-
happened there. We don't know what happened.
So sorry.
All he needs is affidavits from his parents saying that, or backing up his story. That's all he needs.
There's two parts to that, right? One is, did the lawyers have enough time to defend themselves properly? And the reality, if you don't look at this case, just look at it, broadly. Dates are set. Sometimes defenses are shortchanged on time. They don't get enough. That is a fact of the system, and ultimately it is what it is. It does happen. That's not, unless it's an extremely egregious case,
like this.
I don't know that it's.
Wait, Drago.
Yeah, but you don't know what
terabytes of data. With 68 terabytes of data just thrown to you like 52 card pickup, right? And she's telling the court this. It's not like she hasn't pointed this out. There's none of this. They only knew that they needed more discovery because the discovery they gave them was incomplete. So let's say they got one picture of a car. Where's the rest of it? 5 months later, they decide to provide a video. Then they say, well, the video she's looking for, we have to match the sound up with the audio with the video. And they held that back for a year. And so my point is that you're right. Sometimes you do run short on time, but in a case of this magnitude, the total discovery process, that needs to be a case brought to the Supreme Court, that it can't be done this way in the electronic age. This is 2026. There's no reason why that evidence couldn't have been provided, A, in a very timely manner, and B, in an organized manner.
But the lawyer did not file.
She did.
What did she file?
She filed against the prosecution for a discovery.
Motion to continue.
Well, they didn't file. What they needed to do would be file mandamus, right? For because if this proceeds, right, under they'd be facing irreparable harm.
She told the
they
court,
would go to a higher court, but they didn't do that.
She told the court she brought an expert in on just for this, and they said that it would take her 3 years to go through all of this digital.
So they're not getting 3 years. I mean,
right. That's the point she was asking for the continuance on, and he completely ignored that point. Completely. So
it's not. You can say that's wrong. It's not fair, but that's.
Can I ask you this? How about when she was offered help and she didn't actually take it? The court offered her help. You need more people to help you go through this.
And she always had the option to go to that
judge
for that.
That's an actual. I didn't know that. That's an actual argument. There's an actual argument.
There you go. And that's just one of many that can be made through here.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So that is something that makes sense, but the argument, I'm just saying, the arguments about being shortchanged on time, everybody would say that. You know what I mean? It doesn't hold a lot of weight in the courts. Whether it's
just from saying that doesn't mean anything. But there are also reasons why They knew how much evidence she had. It wasn't just her saying it.
Yeah, and the prosecutors, they play dirty. They withhold discovery to the last minute, and then they may know that there's 3 relevant documents, and they'll dump 100,000 on them. It's dirty. The courts should do something about it, but they don't, and that's that's the reality of the system, as bad as it is.
Well, somebody asked about girls smoking weed in Elantra, and a lot of I have never heard that before until just now.
It's a new thing we found yesterday. There are 4 girls that were pulled over in a 2013 silver Elantra by the Party Patrol, and nothing happened to them. They were just let go. So
all right, well, that's fine.
It's a bit of an issue now with everything else that's happened that we're looking into.
None of that was talked about in any of these processes. So it's
no.
It's not part of the case. It's more somebody's trying to. They're trying
it's
to solve the
completely
crime.
separate from the case.
Right, but they want to bring it all in because they're going to solve the crime with that new piece of information.
Right.
It's crazy. It's not even part of the
Right.
case. And if it is, we'll never know, right?
It's like people still talking about fog lights.
Right.
Yeah.
The system is broken. We all agree. We all agree.
Yeah.
This has been.
I was. Oh, sorry.
Slow to chat down, mods. Slow to chat.
Hey, Sarge, real quick, I just wanted to ask you if you remember this. By the way, love you, sir.
What? He just booted himself.
Yeah. So, Sarge, back when you did the politics, and not to try to bring politics up, but there was a sort of similar case with Flynn where he pled guilty and then withdrew his plea.
Right.
And there was, fault on behalf of the lawyers, right? Where the lawyers advised him to plead, and the lawyers may have had actual responsibility, a liability with. They were supposed to fill out paperwork properly, and they didn't. The client got in trouble, and they advised him to plead guilty. And so we've seen this process play out, and it just with the facts that I've seen so far, it's a long shot.
There was an issue discovered slightly after the case, but what happened with Flynn was his argument to dismiss was he was coerced by the prosecution team and threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, I believe his son was threatened.
Then what happened was the DOJ joined in his request for dismissal, and that's what caused all of the chaos. That's why I was trying to point out to people that proves Flynn was involved in the Russiagate issue against Trump because he protected the Department of Justice when the Department of Justice didn't argue they were wrong. They agreed to dismiss because of prosecutorial discretion, and it prevented. The judge went nuts on Flynn, not because he was trying to hang Flynn. He went nuts on Flynn because, in fact, Flynn did lie in his court. And when the prosecution had joined the dismissal, it prevented the judge from going after the prosecutors that he claims threatened him. You see, the whole case became I had a big falling out with Flynn over that because the way that went down at the end was perfect. They perfectly protected not just Flynn. It got him out of it, and it also protected the DOJ because they didn't get held to account by the court. If your lawyers coerced him to plead guilty, as he alleges, the court needs to be able to take action. That was removed. That was unprecedented. Never in the history of the world has the prosecution joined the defense to dismiss a case that they're being accused of prosecutorial misconduct in. And that, to me, was exactly the move. Like Flynn, he was the big pusher of Q without being a pusher. He was playing like he was the victim. But Russia. Where did it start? Go back. It started with Flynn in the interview with the FBI. That's what started it all. And then all of this nonsense for years with Flynn, Russia, Flynn. He was one of the main antagonists. And nobody ever looked at him like that to this very day. Many do, more now than ever. But back when it was happening, nobody would listen to me. That dismissal was a big tell. And it got ignored. People think Flynn is like some superhero, and he's not. He's definitely not a hero. I can't stand the Flynn family for what they had told the public and let everybody believe and let all that nonsense with Q go on. And really, in the midst of it all, he was the reason why Russiagate got started. Not Papadopoulos, not Page, Flynn.
Mhm.
He knew better. He knew better. He shouldn't have let them agents in his office. He knew exactly what he was doing when that happened. And everybody
Yeah.
blamed, so
But,
that's, that was my problem with the Flynn case towards the end of all of that nonsense. It was that this guy he's got guilt written all over him, and he's convinced the voters that he's on their team. I mean, that's exactly what he was trained to do his whole life. That's what that guy is.
Yeah, but
That's
you know,
the skill. Go ahead.
to sort of drag it back on topic, not that I'm not into that stuff. We've seen all sorts of the ridiculous court cases with in the political realm, and
exactly.
when you look at this one, I've looked at his filing. I've looked at the there's a state law that governs this post-conviction process, and the standard of he has to show that he didn't enter the plea voluntarily. That's, I don't think, ever going to happen. Another part is,
I don't know that that's never going to happen. I think we have to see what he argues, what argument they put forward before you.
How can we know that when we don't even know what was said behind closed doors?
Well,
that's impossible to know.
Well, based on what he filed, he's probably going for the second thing I was going to say, which was
no, but that's not
consequences.
You're not Drago. You're not understanding. That isn't the filing. The only thing he's going to argue in court. There was a petition seeking relief.
Oh yeah,
right. And so they appointed attorneys. Because they're giving them the right to hear him again.
Yeah.
Now it has to go in front of a court. But what's going to get heard? We don't know the extent to what that filing is going to have.
Oh,
there'll be specificity in it that this you saw it was two pages printed that he filled them in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So this is like a basic. It's like going to get a permit, not the license. You didn't drive the car. So you went and got your permit right now. That's the stage.
I totally know what you're saying. I agree. What I'm just highlighting is when I look at the state law, the hurdle is the bar is very high. It's a very difficult bar to clear. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's very specific things, and when I read it, it tells me you're gonna need a whole lot of something, not one little issue here or there.
No, I agree 100%. It's an uphill climb, and it's designed that way.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah. It's once you've pled guilty, you're in Hail Mary territory with the post-conviction appeal process, no matter what state you're in.
If his parents were on a Zoom call during those talks, like he's saying, all he needs is affidavits from his parents.
Not necessarily affidavits from the parents. Well, a judge could easily look at that and go, well, you're his parents. Of course, you're going to back up something he says that's going to help him. It's not, if there was a recording of the conversation, that's a different story. But your parents were there. I think the statement about the hair is the key. If that last discovery drop and Turvey's disclosure to the defense about the knife sheath and the hair weren't seriously discussed or reviewed or investigated,
it was already disclosed to the defense.
I think based on that, he has an argument against ineffective counsel.
Right, but that wasn't new information. The defense already knew about it.
No, it wasn't new information, except, let me just finish. You're right, but the information that was available was one hair and debris. Let's be clear. What Turvey found was much more significant than what was disclosed to the defense of the insignificant hair found in his hand. That's exactly what Cy Ray is talking about. That was in the discovery. It had been known for a while, but that's not what Turvey found.
No.
So, yeah.
Yes. I agree.
Cy literally says he went back and looked at the picture. Cy has that picture. He's saying it's one hair.
Yeah.
That's not we saw pictures. The debris at the bed, down to the blood, hair coming out of the blood on the floor attached to the bed rail. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's a different picture.
It's a different picture, but it's all the same comment about hair. It wasn't just one location. What about the hairs on the girls upstairs?
Okay, you're right with what you're saying, but what Brian specifically said was one like the hair in Ethan's hand.
Like
So-
the hair, right? Like the hair. He's not saying that's
No,
the
I'm
only
not. That's not Brian. I'm saying that's what he said. He said the hair in Ethan's hand. Not every picture. Like, I understand what
No,
you're saying,
no.
but that's just not what he said.
But what I'm saying is that when he does the full application, he goes to bring this in to be argued. Whatever evidence that he found later or wasn't talked to about is going to be part of his piece.
Yeah, I mean that could be true.
I'd say that's sort of half true. In most cases, in run-of-the-mill cases, the defense doesn't have to. The defense lawyers do not have to keep the defendant informed of every detail and every action. That's just not the case. They have to, give them the important facts and advise them, but they don't have to tell Brian Koberger every single piece of evidence. It's not accurate. They can't. They do have to give them, enough to make an informed decision, but they don't have to tell him every piece of evidence. And for his appeal, he would have to show that they didn't tell him about something that could have plausibly caused him to roll the dice at trial. So, you can't just say, well, there's an issue with the hair. You have to articulate how, the defense didn't, inform him of that. And then if he had known, that could have caused him to go to trial. That's sort of the standard that he has to meet.
Right, and he'll do, or at least try to do that in further filings.
Yeah, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just highlighting it's a very difficult bar to cross.
For sure. He screwed up in a lot of ways by taking that plea deal.
Oh my God, again, I said it before, absent of trying to avoid the death penalty, you can't. When you're facing time like that, you sort of have to roll the dice at trial, right?
Clearly the death penalty isn't that important because he's saying put the death penalty back on. Now, that might have changed in the last year when he agreed to the plea deal. Maybe he was okay with that, but now he's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's one of the things about that is trying to avoid the death penalty when you're still used to being free versus
Can I just say, for a few years. Judge Hippler being the presiding judge in the case, if that hair, okay, and that argument that Brian points to the hand and the hair, that has to be real because it's part of his argument for this post-conviction relief and any appointed the guy lawyers. In other words, if Hippler was aware that it was one strand, okay, and it had nothing to do with the crime or it belonged to Ethan, that's not what we're being told by Turvey. That was macroscopically inspected, and it didn't belong to the victims, nor did it belong to Brian Koberger. But they didn't DNA test for identity. That's the argument that Brian is attempting to make, and I think you'll see it more clearly in his full application when he actually takes this for the hearing.
Yeah, when he has an attorney write his document, it should look a lot better.
And even when you Google it, it says the hairs were found under Ethan Chapman's right hand, but there were also hairs in his hand. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what he puts in his application.
Yeah, the only argument, the only plausible argument I'm seeing so far is that the defense attorneys did not have enough time to verify all of this info, not just some other stuff that shows that there's no real physical ties to the crime scene, right? And if the defendant could say that my lawyers didn't tell me that there was no physical evidence tying me to the crime scene, that's a real argument that a judge would go for, I think. But trying to tell a judge, hey, my lawyer, told me that, the conditions were a bit better than, they actually are. That's not going to get you anywhere,
And we got to wait for that to come out rather than speculate how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Let's see what's filed by the attorneys that were appointed. And for most of the show, we were basically listening to what Cy Ray had to say. And most of it, well, a good many of us think that his moral compass has been stuck up his ass and it's going to stay there. That's been what basically the stream now. So the information he gave, it may be true that he's got data that other people don't have that shows Brian in the house. That might be accurate. I don't know. But time will tell. I think he's disqualified himself from a witness from either side, to be honest with you.
I think he's
well, in the custody queens, he says he didn't want to be.
He's
he was like, I'm hoping that both sides think I'm so toxic they don't call me back.
Well,
I don't think he wants to be.
See, this is what I mean. Then he should. Then look. Then why is he out telling? Look, that's just a contradiction of magnitudes that I don't. It's just irritating. He knows he shouldn't. I know he knows he shouldn't be out here, but he's doing it anyway.
It's more information that we need. I don't think we should stop it. I think everyone should talk.
Well, I think the court should release. They should force the release of all the information they have that they aren't showing us.
That's true.
Right, and then if Brian's attorney-client privilege has been pierced now with this filing, then let's see.
He pierced it. He pierced it big time.
I know he did. I know, but let's see what advice he was getting from counsel. I think she made arguments on issues that she just didn't either do correctly or avoided. And that's a problem. I think Turvey points that out. Some arguments how do you get a level of argument to get to a Franks hearing and then lose? It's just, like I think the skilling of her lawyers are good only when they have law clerks and a library at their disposal.
Oh, 100%.
Without those tools,
for complex cases,
you're a mediocre lawyer.
Yeah, lawyers are highly specialized. A trial lawyer is not the guy that's figuring out all the laws and arguments. That's you for a complex case, you need a full team.
Look, if I was out here making money, I just got a good idea given to me by Gary. Create mugs that say Cracker Claus on it with Bill Thompson's picture. That Santa Claus looking motherfucker. Unbelievable. All right. Now, Twiz had said something earlier about this being a 5-hour stream. And I said, it's not going to be a 5-hour stream. It's been 3 hours and 26 minutes. So it's closer to correct on Twiz's side. I will go there. It's 2/3 of the way to what he suggested, but I don't have the tenacity to go another hour and a half. So
we'll do it another time. Bye, Sergeant.
Bye.
Yeah, I would say if you had another thing you want to say before you go, say it. Say your piece.
Oh no, maybe some other time. I mean,
All
actually, I do want to say this. I was the only one in the chat that was telling you guilty, and everybody was calling me a troll. That he pled guilty. So I'm still winning. Guilty's winning.
I think we can agree, guilty or not guilty. The case presented by the state is flawed in ways that's just epic.
Oh,
and that we got to where we got, and I mean, we'll see what happens from here.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you.
If that was enough, half the prison would be empty. Unfortunately,
well, I got 2 guys out of jail when I was there, and I got my case dismissed, and I sued, and I won. So there is something to be said about the law. The law is the law. And these guys were writing conspiracy theories and warrants that were unjustified. They were unprovable. And they should never have arrested Brian. They should have taken him as the best suspect because he is a great suspect. And filled in the blanks. Brought him in for questioning. Asked if we could look inside your car.
I wanted to say they botched it and they got tunnel vision. But all of these criticisms, like most of them, it's like, well, you have to address these before you plead guilty, right? It's as important as it is.
Said than done when you're locked in a cell. for 2 years, right?
That
2.5
true.
years, right?
That's true.
And we now I'm very interested, and hopefully we can do some shows on what was actually happening behind the scene with Koberger and Ann. Maybe Ann is completely in the right, and Brian's the killer, and he's talking out his ass. That's possible, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
Right?
and I've said from the beginning, like, I don't have concrete evidence or anything, but like I think he did it. I strongly suspect he did. He certainly seems suspicious to me.
I don't think he accomplished the crime in any way, shape, or form consistent with the accusation.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all.
There's no way. What did he say, Maddie? Hold my kill bag while I pick out another weapon to bludgeon your girlfriend with. Oh, Maggie, hold the bludgeoning weapon while I now stab her. I mean, how did somebody have 4 weapons used on him by one guy?
No, the cops, they're full of shit. But
time, man. I think he might be a co-conspirator, but you didn't charge him as a co-conspirator. You charged him as the only criminal.
Yeah, right? I can't say, despite all the lies and all the bullshit from the cops, I can't say that it's wrong to like rule him out or not suspect him, because he was doing some. The FBI was already had him on their radar. I don't
know that the FBI had him on their radar. Where do you get that?
That's what I heard at least. But there's plenty of things that make him look like.
There's the fact that he was in the area with a car is enough. Anybody in that area, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's what I'm saying. Why didn't they trace down every vehicle and question all the occupants? Because they couldn't. Why couldn't they trace down Brian's car itself from the video? Because they couldn't. So what good is the video? The video only matches. Look at it. If you arrested anybody with a 2015 Honda Elantra, you could do the same thing to them you did with Brian.
Well, right? one of the things, and not to drag the stream out too long. One of the things at trial, when you have a large lack of physical evidence, right, is with the standard of reasonable doubt, if you are unable to point to an alternative, right, like the cops, they got tunnel vision on me, but it could have been the neighbor, it could have been this other guy in the area. If you can't point to anybody, it's very difficult to meet that standard, because juries are going to go, okay, the cops are lying. Okay, there's not a whole lot of evidence, but who else could it be?
But that's not justice the way it's written to be done.
Maybe not, but that's the reality of the trial.
Circumstantial cases do end up getting convictions, but a lot of those cases do get overturned. But in this case, the only evidence you have is claimed to be a DNA sample on what you said was a button snap. For years, all of a sudden now it's a button strap. There's 3 other samples on that knife of blood you didn't do any fucking IgG with, but you did it with the most microscopic evidence in the world. Just imagine that. Why would you focus on a Q-tip that when you ran it down the sheet, there was nothing there? Why? Why would you fucking even look at that Q-tip? Any more than casual glance? Well, this is clean. Put it under a microscope. Still clean. Well, put it in solution. The process you have to go through to discover who owned that DNA is insane. But none of the blood on a glove, on a railing, on a knife sheath. I mean, my point is this whole case was done by the Keystone Cops.
Oh, yeah.
And to argue that there weren't more than one person in there is insane. It's insane. To argue that there was no cleanup is insane. And I mean cleanup, not that they wiped and washed the walls, that the blood on the walls landed on the walls after it had been diluted. It didn't get on the wall and then get diluted. It got to the wall diluted. That indicates either the tool or your clothing was clean before you left the property. There's just so much evidence that says there's so much more that happened there. And they want us all to believe, because they tell a story, that this kid did it alone. And it's just bullshit. But again, I don't deny his guilt. I just can't imagine the story that they've sold the public having any potential of being real. Way too far overblown. Right? Anyway, so I appreciate you coming up though, Drago.
Yep.
And we'll get you back on here again. I'm going to jump down. It's 12:30 at night. I might make some bacon.
All right. Good night. Have a good night. Have a good week.
Thanks for coming up.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, folks. It's been a hell of a good stream, I think. We had a whole bunch of people in there, almost 300 people at one point. That was awesome. And it's 3:33, 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 3 seconds. It could be there was tainted evidence and no testing of some of it. In the car, the cameras is throwing a cover up on that was pulled up. Well, Bacon for the win. I appreciate it. Kathy, if you, I'm sorry, Kathy jumped out. She had a difference of opinion with Twiz. And, you know, I wish you would have stayed. But, yeah, we're where we're at. We did what we did. It's done. You guys were all awesome. Thank you for all the comments. It was so hard in the chat room on YouTube to follow these comments, man. Right? What about the white car that was in the area? That always stuck out for me. Yeah, I never saw that, Richard. But, and again, the thing just moves so damn fast. There it is. The first police public statement, I believe, was the second lady to ask questions. Mentioned, what about the white car? That was in the area. That always stuck out for me. Yeah, me too. And it was an 11 to 13 Hyundai Elantra. After it was a Sonata. After it was a fucking Toyota. After it was a fucking unbelievable. Kathy is. I call her AI 2026. When she says the year, I just, oh my God, it kills me. All right, folks, thanks. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to get out, go eat me some bacon. You all be good. Twiz, thanks for stopping in. Have a good one.